What's going on, everybody? Today's episode of the podcast is, of course, brought to you by G Fuel Energy. Right now, if you use G Fuel code DannyD, you receive 10 to 30% off your order at gfuel.com. Using that code directly supports my content and keeps this podcast rolling. Today's guest is a comedian based out of Canada. He's also a TikToker and a streamer. This guy's hilarious and he's super down to earth. Please welcome Durena.
Let's do this.
We're going.
Dude,
so
big fan of the background. Oh, sorry.
Oh, thanks. No, you're good. You're good. I was just gonna make sure. So is it Shay?
Shay, like
Che.
a hard CH.
Okay, Che. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Danny. I don't know if some people say it wrong. No, don't.
Yeah,
but,
some people screw that one up. It's a tough one.
So, dude, it's kind of funny because my wife, I don't want to say hates you, but she just hates because I watch your videos. I literally watched them on a loop like 20 times, just cracking up. Like there was the one about the I think it was like how women wash their cat was how you titled it or whatever. That one had me dying, bro.
I'm sure I've made a video about that. I'm
Yeah,
sure. I don't
no,
remember specifically what that is.
But that one I was like, I'm following. Like that had me dying, man. And then I saw the Rush Hour one yesterday, and that one was pretty funny too.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I've been trying to stay on top of the content and keep cranking it out. And I kind of started TikTok as the world shut down, right? And my main form of I guess artistic expression, and it's still my number one in terms of what I enjoy to do, is stand up. So I was doing stand up for like 7 years, and it's just done. It's like I was like a grinding comic. Like I was doing shows like, I don't know, the 3 shows a night, every single night going out. My rule was I to take a night off once every 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden it halts. So then it was like, what do you do now? And you have all this free time. And my buddy was using TikTok, and I kind of tried to learn the algorithm and stuff a little bit. And then I just started cranking content out on the platform and started to see some success. And I was like, okay, I can kind of get what this is, and I know how to use my comedic voice here.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting to see. It definitely feels like it's harder to grow on there now, you know? So if you didn't get on right away, it's definitely. I still see people pop up every once in a while, like out of nowhere, you know. Like it definitely has like delayed explosions for some people. But I mean, I've seen so many people like come and go on the platform in like the last year. I started back in April of last year, so I had just gotten out of the military, and we weren't allowed to have TikTok when we were in. So I was like, oh, let's check out this app, you know. And then I started posting like gaming stuff, and it kind of took off. So. Because I actually got out to go do film and TV. I was living in LA. I did jujitsu with a lot of comedians, so I totally respect like what you guys do. It's an art, man. So you crack me up, man. You know, you got it.
Thank you, man.
It's good stuff.
It's definitely like using the TikTok and using these social platforms has made me way funnier, because you have to then like learn how to use your comedic voice in a different way. So like I was working for this YouTube channel, making content for them. Then I was like making content for this cannabis channel, and then making TikToks for myself, and then starting to stream. Like me and my buddy are doing Twitch streaming and stuff now. And learning how to take whatever your comedic voice is and put it into the different areas. Now, when I get back on stage, I'm so much more organically myself, because I've like worked out this muscle in every different direction. The hardest part about getting on stage again is remembering the jokes, but who I am on stage is so much more of an authentic version of myself. And I feel like I am way funnier than I was before.
So like it's helped your improv, right? Is that what you mean? Like,
yeah, like it's helped me improvise, but it also helps me write jokes that are more akin to my sense of humor. So like the whole process of like, for me at least, my process of like starting stand-up and getting into it, the first like 4 or 5 years was just like learning how to say things on stage and get a response from them.
Right.
And that was like the whole treadmill of like, okay, I write a joke, how does the audience laugh at it? It was like year 6 where I remember I wrote like this new 10 minutes, and I was like, I really think this is funny. Like, I think this is my sense of humor. And then it worked. And then I tried writing in that way again, and it didn't work. And then since that point, it's been like learning how to translate my sense of humor to the audience so they understand it from my perspective. And since the pandemic, using these different platforms to translate my sense of humor onto them, the jokes that I'm writing now are so much more my essence and like unique to me. And I love them. They're my favorite jokes I've ever written.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And when did you say you started?
It must have been like 2013. I think so. Yeah, 2013. I think I started. I was living in Mexico.
Mexico.
And
So now you're in Canada, right? So you're
I'm from Canada. I grew up on the west coast of Canada. I became a scuba diving instructor. Moved to Mexico when I was like 19. Just kind of lived and partied out there, and then I started doing stand up. And once I figured out that I was like stand up's this thing I want to do, I was like, well, if I want to pursue this properly, I need to go to a place where it's taken seriously. Because I was doing it in a smaller town. I was in Playa del Carmen. It's just sort of like a tourist town. There isn't like a big stand up scene there.
right.
So I was like, I need to go somewhere where it's happening. And Toronto has the biggest scene in Canada. So I decided to move there. Never been before, but I was like, I'll figure it out. And I just went.
Yeah. And then so when I reached out to you about the podcast, you had mentioned Jordy 2D. Like, since he's over in Canada, yeah, you must see a lot of his stuff more than mine, right? Because it's like geographically based.
Yeah, I see a lot of Jordy stuff. I really enjoy his stuff's. Like I didn't make the connection until after I was already following him on TikTok. That because he went viral through all those Sonic memes. He was like in tons of those Sonic memes, and I was like, oh, these are hilarious. And then made the connection later. I was like, oh, it's this guy. They're the same dude. I didn't even know Jordy was in Canada, to be honest.
Yeah, he's in Canada. Yeah. No creator fund over there too, right? So like TikTok is purely like a hobby for you then, because like you're not even
making a little bit of cash off of what are they called, like promotion deals, like doing ad deals and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that I've been able to grow my platform large enough where I can start to monetize it in that way, which is great. Hopefully the creator fund comes down the road. They just passed some weird bill in Canada. I don't really know what it is. It's like Bill C10 or something.
I was just watching something about that, and it's this. You know how TikTok is. Somebody will be like, guess what they just passed? It's 3 a.m. and there's like spooky music, and she's like talking about it, acting like the world's about to end or something. And then she's like, yeah, it's just like some censorship thing. I mean, that still sucks, but I was just like, and she didn't tell me what it was. She just like, look for yourselves. You can't find anything.
I haven't looked into it.
Yeah. They're like not covering it, I guess, but
they never cover stuff like this because they want to slip it in there. They don't want to cause a big fuss, right? But yeah, I have no idea what it means. I don't know if that affects the creator fund. I would love for there to be more monetization for platforms like this in Canada, because already like our entertainment industry in Canada is weak. Like in terms of me having opportunities, like when I started blowing up on TikTok, a perfect example of this is I'm getting success on TikTok. I've been doing stand-up for years. I have like appliable skills as an entertainer. Zero representation from Canada reaches out to me, and like several people from the States reach out to me. And that's just kind of what the industry is over here. It's not current or I don't know, hungry. They just kind of crank out the same sort of milk toast content.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's interesting. I didn't know that Canada was. I mean, I guess it makes sense. The population's a lot smaller over there. Like how many people are in Canada?
I think we're like 35 million or something. We're not that big. We're like a tenth of you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we're like 10 times bigger. But I mean, you see all the chaos that comes with that, though. It's hard for the government to like do anything with that many people.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's but I mean, my goal is still to move down there. I'm trying to get down over to the States. Yeah, because it's like if you want to pursue, there's opportunity here for sure in Canada, but it's so small, and it's dictated by so few people, and if those people just don't like you and most of it's like cleaner up here too, so it's like you have like CBC and you have like Bell Canada, and then I think TELUS makes some content maybe, and unless you're going to do everything independent like a TikToker or making a YouTube channel or something, your means of growing are really small. And in terms of stand up, there's just not enough stage time and not enough places to go where you can get like tons of stage time in the States and tour all over the country and fill up rooms everywhere. So there's just way more opportunity, especially for someone like me who doesn't want to be a clean comic.
Right. Yeah. That stuff would definitely do better over here. We love that stuff. Have you decided where you want to move over here? Like, have you?
New York seems like the plan. New York seems like it's expensive, I know, but it's where stand up is king. It's like
have you, yeah, because like LA, in my opinion, seems like it's kind of dying, man. Like just the last year, COVID's kind of decimated LA. Everybody's moving.
LA, like that's the rumor everyone's saying. Who knows what's going to happen when everything reopens and everything's back to normal? People are saying like Austin is the new LA, but we don't know. We have no idea how everything's going to play out. A part of me wouldn't mind if there was this new comedy metropolis in like Austin, or some people are saying in like Florida, because I just want to move somewhere hot. I just want to live somewhere warm.
I think Florida could be cool. I mean, even Texas too, but I feel like because everybody's moving from like LA to, it seems like everybody's moving to Texas from LA. They're gonna bring all their problems too. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I feel like Joe Rogan moving over there and like a couple of other comedians has really started something over there. I mean, you see like Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle doing stuff over there, so it's interesting. I've seen Joe like he almost I have like a highlight where I talked about it on an episode previously, way back when. Like me and my wife went to a show at one of the clubs in LA like right before COVID hit. And somebody, there was a couple that was like right in front of where the mic was. And they were like, wait a minute, this is where we're sitting? Oh, we don't want to get like, haggled or whatever they call it. What do they call it in the... Heckled. I knew it was with an H. But they were like, we're moving. Like, can we sit somewhere else? And I was like, hey, are those seats free? And so we sat right there, and Joe Rogan almost kicked my wife in the face. So
really,
yeah,
just doing like act outs and stuff, going crazy.
Yeah, he was doing so. Yeah, and he got very visual with everything, and he like totally was like this close to kicking her in the face. It was really funny. But I actually went to 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, which is like his buddy Eddie Bravo, his schools. Yeah. And so all the two instructors, well, one of the instructors used to do stand up with Joe Rogan and them like way back in the day. So hearing stories and stuff like that was really cool. But that always made the classes really funny. He was always cracking jokes and stuff, Yeah, like comedians are just a different breed.
Definitely. It's I think the thing I miss the most of stand-up being gone is hanging out. Like, because comics, like, you're a group of people who go on stage every night and you kind of open up who you are to strangers. So things that are normally taboo to most people usually are just like open conversation for comedians, and it works good and bad, because we're obviously lots of comics can be very opinionated, and then people have different opinions and they argue. But for the most part, you're with like a group of like-minded people, and you can talk about anything. You skip right past small talk and you just get into the dirt of things, and it's just so fun. It's so fun, and everyone's laughing constantly.
Yeah, that's kind of how people are in the military, but they're kind of cracking down on that over here now. They're making all these rules, can't offend anybody. So,
in the military?
Yeah, like everything's considered bullying or all that stuff now. So everybody's like afraid to say anything anymore. One wrong joke and you'll get like in trouble.
I always thought I never thought that would. I guess because it is like a workspace, right?
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, we're literally my job was helicopter search and rescue, but we worked on the helicopters that we flew on. So like we were very tight knit, because you're working on the helicopter that your buddy's gonna go fly on, in the middle of the night, out in the middle of the ocean. So everybody was really tight knit and just joked about everything. And there was like 3 different shifts, and night shift was like all the crazy people. Like they would always crack beers after work and everything and stuff like that. But yeah, no, when I was getting out, it was just like the policies were getting worse. And then I was watching another. Do you watch a lot of podcasts?
I've like a few that I listen to. I have like a comedy one and like a gaming one, and then like a fitness one, and I kind of just rotate through those 3.
You ever heard of PKA?
No, what's PKA?
So there's Woody's Gamer Tag, which he was like a big Call of Duty commentary type guy. Like back during like Black Ops, and like he blew up around then. I think he worked for like Machinima when they were a big thing. And then there's FPS Russia, which I feel like if you're big into YouTube, you've heard of FPS Russia.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's the guy who was FPS Russia. You know, he faked being Russian and stuff like that. His name's Kyle. And so like there's those two, and then another guy, Taylor, who's pretty funny too. And they like all well, Kyle doesn't stream. I feel like he's just made so much money with YouTube. He just kind of does whatever. But I listen to them a lot because they'll talk about all kinds of stuff, and no filter, you know. And they were talking about how like somebody took all the military commercials, like, you know, recruiting commercials from like around the world, and they put like Russia, China, and us together, and Russia and China are just like super badass, and then they show us, and it's, you know, super soft, and, you know, everybody's allowed in the military, even, you know, like it was just made us look really soft, man. I was like, bro,
it's like nice now. It's nice military. That's not like because I'm in Canada, man. We have such little military propaganda. Like when we see your guys' stuff, we're like, whoa, you like recruiters coming to schools and stuff. Doesn't maybe in some places, but as far as I know, it doesn't exist at all. I think I saw like a couple commercials for the Marines, and I'm pretty sure that was for you guys. And I don't think I've seen a few American military commercials. It's like it's non-existent over here.
Yeah, it's always the few, the proud, the Marines, and he's got the sword.
That's it. That's the one. Yes.
They don't do that anymore, man.
No.
It's
all like their friends. They're shaking hands and stuff.
Honestly, I feel like they're really trying to promote like the gender equality stuff. So they focus a lot on like females being in the military now. But then, like, it's just a different vibe, you know? So it's just, it seems way more lighthearted than, you know, Russia's, like, got this guy with a deep, scary voice, you know, talking about, like, honor and respect and stuff like that, and, like, dropping into a battle. And it's literally, like, us, like, some woman going home, taking her uniform off, and sitting down on the couch watching TV with her family. I'm just like,
I know nothing about the military. I don't like, but I'm like, you guys are killing people or like training to be like in combat. So I'm like, isn't it just like, I thought it was always like, listen, we're taking the hardest people. Whoever can handle it is in. I thought that was the vibe all the time. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I feel like it's just, I don't know. It's not as gung ho anymore for us, you know. I mean, but we're not in wartime anymore, so.
True. We're more. We're in a peacetime, which is nice.
For now,
it's nice to be. For now,
China's.
We might have to.
China's creeping up.
They're getting squirrely over there, man. They're getting squirrely. But I think hopefully everyone just keeps moving in a positive direction like this. Maybe America and China shake hands somewhere and they work out some deals. I'm always down for a peacetime. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how to shoot a gun. So peacetime is great for me.
Well, I mean, I don't know how I get all my like news from TikTok now because my wife will be scrolling through. She's like, "Did you hear this is going on?" I'm like, "No," because I don't watch I don't know. My TikTok is all gaming stuff and then like comedians and stuff like that. You know, it's just very random, or it's, you know, like some guy dumping a giant bottle of hot sauce in some guy's face while he's sleeping in the middle of the night. You know, like it's just random stuff. And she's got like, you know, the people doing arts and crafts and, you know, cooking and doing their little commentary of like, this is how you cook this, or this is how you make this coffee drink, you know. And then all of a sudden she's got like this almost like super far right wing and left wing stuff popping up, and it's like all conspiracy stuff. So she's like, is this true? And I'm like, I don't know, you know, like it's getting views.
Yeah, so some people are into it. That's one of my favorite things is if I'm around someone and they have TikTok, I'm like, let me see your feed. Because it's so different. People get way different feeds. Yeah. Mine's like weird. I got a lot of weird videos. I get a lot of like trending things and dogs. I get tons of dog stuff.
You got the dogs.
Love anything that's like a dog, or like there was one with this donkey recently. Someone was scratching its butt, and then when they stopped, it like ran towards them backwards to keep getting its butt scratched. Boom, that's great content right there. Love that. Love that.
Mine's all over the place. You know, I saw that same video you saw where like the chick was giving birth at a McDonald's. I'm just like, what the dude? And did you see the whole video?
No, I figured it was fake. I was like,
no,
this is
dude,
fake.
you go to YouTube and there's like a 1.5-minute clip, and like she's just like, I'm gonna have a baby, and just jumps up on the table, and the workers like, oh hell no, get out of here. Like they're just
yeah.
she's just not leaving.
I like how they're like, get the fuck
yeah,
dude. We don't want to deal with
this.
That's too much, man. Yo, how did you go from the military to streaming? How did you make that jump?
So I was stationed in San Francisco, which, knowing how San Francisco is, that's why I was like, when you said New York, I was like, oh man, because it's like the same thing over there. It's just super dirty, crowded, expensive. But some people like that. I prefer more like a medium-sized city, you know, where like it's not too small where I have to drive half an hour to go to Walmart, but you know, it's not so big that there's, you know, people who are living in a 20-story building or something, you know. So
exactly, in little boxes and stuff like that. Yeah,
our cubicles. Yeah. But I was stationed in San Francisco, and they had us doing deployments to LA because they closed the air station there. And so I was single at the time, and we made more money doing deployments. So I was just like, give them all to me. So I basically lived in LA half the time. And so meeting the people I did doing jiu-jitsu, you know, there was people who were doing movie stuff, stand-up. They had their own businesses, you know, all kinds of stuff, you know. And it was just like, this is the place where people go to just like follow their dreams. I was like, you know what? Yeah. The military just, you know, it's not doing it for me anymore. I did 6 years. I don't know. How old are you? I'm 25.
I'm 29.
Okay. But anyways, I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to do film and TV stuff. And I figured behind the scenes stuff was, you know, like, I don't know. I've never been on camera before, nothing like that. And so I got a job lined up as a production assistant on like the Fox studio lot, and moved out there, reconnected with like an old girlfriend, and now she's my wife. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, you know, and then everything shut down. And so I was like, well, I could either sit here and just, you know, whine and complain and collect unemployment, or I could try to do something. And so I started TikTok and then the streaming, and then I found out I really liked the content creation side of it more than anything. And then I got comfortable being on camera, and so like today I signed up for acting classes. Like I'm gonna start doing that. But I decided to move to New Mexico because at the time it was like, well, if I'm not working in the film industry, there's no reason to like live here and spend so much money living here. And New Mexico also has, you know, like the Netflix studios and all that stuff here, and that's growing. So moved the family out here, and then we moved out here in December, and so we're still kind of settling in. Like I was streaming today, and my wife comes in and just like handed me the phone, and they got like our registration confused, or mine, between the California and New Mexico, and this dude was just like arguing with me on the phone during my stream. I'm like, bro, like, I'm busy right now. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Like, I'm live, man. This is being recorded live, dude.
But yeah, he's like super rude for no reason too, you know. But it's I get it. Those people who sit and talk to people on the phone all day probably aren't the happiest.
Yeah, they'll snap after some time. When you spend too much time under fluorescent lights and you don't get to move around, like your body just starts to get mad. You're like, it needs to move, man. It needs to breathe. But that's so cool, man. Like you going out, you're like, this is what I want to pursue. This is what I want to do, and like building the foundation on your own. Because Twitch and streaming and TikTok, none of these things are easy. I mean, we're all doing it, and definitely Twitch is one where I'm still trying to learn the bells and whistles of it. I like try to get people over from my platform, and then I have like an independent TikTok just for the Twitch. But it's like it's one that requires a lot of water to grow. But it's so fun. It's so fun, like working on that platform. And the way me and my buddy do it is like we do like a doubles thing where we're both on screen at the same time.
Yeah, I saw.
And he's a comic too, so we just like shoot the shit, and it's great, man. Like it's out of all the content I'm making besides stand up, I think it is the most favorite thing I'm doing. It's just it's me and my buddy hanging out playing video games. It's something we do regardless, and we're just joking the entire time and riffing about what's going on in the game. We're gonna play what's that game? It just got terrible reviews. We're gonna play it tomorrow. That Dark Alliance, that Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. It got like 4 out of 10 at IGN, and we're like, oh, baby, we gotta play this. We gotta play it.
So you guys just pretty much play everything, right? Because I think I pulled up your Twitch and I saw you guys played Warzone and like Fall Guys, and so that's good that you guys play whatever you want.
We just kind of jump around. We've had some games that draw on more people than others, but we wanted to be more like, neither one of us is very like pro gamer headshotty kind of guy. We don't really have those skills. So we try to pick games that allow us to have like a good pace for like joking and riffing. Warzone's good because like there's a lot of time spending like looting and running around. Fall Guys is great because we pass the controller, so like one person's working the chat and talking and the other person's playing the game. And Fall Guys, you can kind of go on autopilot. You just like, your mind kind of goes off and you can focus on joking because you just run forward and jump. But we started with this game called Stilt Fella. That was this like $2 game on Steam that I saw these German dudes playing, and it's like oh, you know those games that are like ultra realistic, like physics based games,
Yeah.
like a surgeon simulator kind of thing. And it was like you have to control each stilt independently and walk through these obstacle courses. And I feel like we got maybe 50-60% way through the game, and which is quite difficult. We reached a point where we couldn't get any further, but that was like, Stilt Fella was our bread and butter for a little bit.
That's cool. Yeah, there's all kinds of little games like that. But it's kind of funny. Like I don't know if it's just because COVID, people just looking for anything to play. But like I'll see people playing like Pressure Washer Simulator. They're just like washing houses, you know. And I'm just like,
yeah. Dude, totally. But there is like there is kind of an appeal to that, and we definitely want to keep things like loosey goosey with what we're doing, because it's just fun. We wanted to keep it fun. We don't stream too often. We're doing like 2 hours twice a week, because we also have like stand up and all our other things going on. So it's all like a feature on all the other things we already do.
That's cool. Yeah, I definitely think that if I had decided to like only focus on Twitch or something specific, I'd probably have to get a job by now. So I think it's smart to, you know, kind of diversify what you're doing. You know, you got all kinds of stuff going on. But yeah, Twitch has been weird lately though. I mean, I don't know how much you pay attention to like Twitch news with like the
I know there's the drama with the bathtub girls, the hot tub girls.
So it's moved on from that. It escalated.
It's like, I know there's the stretching and the ear licking.
Yes.
The ear licking thing.
And
like I tuned in, I think it was Indigo Fox or something. She was doing the ear licking, and she's sitting where she's wearing those TikTok tights, and her ass is huge, and her ass is like most of the camera, and then she's licking this ear, and I was like, this is so fucking erotic.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to turn this off. This is like so close to porn. Like it's
definitely. I mean, you can see they finally pushed it to the point where 2 of them got banned. You know, like the 2 biggest ones.
Really?
Amaranth, and then her, the Indie Fox. I think, I can't remember if that's her name or not.
When did Amaranth get banned? She got banned, permabanned.
No, they got. That's the thing, is everybody's like, that's not fair, because they've both been banned like 4 or 5 times, and usually after like 3 times, you know, it's like permanent. But they only got banned for like 3 days each, you know. But their viewership is insane. So
it's insane, like, because they keep getting pressed too. After Amaranth lost her
ads,
like her ad money, I remember, especially because we have our joint Twitch account. There was one time we were streaming and we were waiting for I think it was a COD update, and so we're like, oh, what do we like? We got to start at 8. The COD update's not done, so I just put Amaranth's stream on our thing and had our faces, and then we were just joking about it as it was going.
Yeah, like,
and
go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And no, like after her ad revenue got taken away, her viewership shot up because she got so much press over that.
Yeah, I think they screwed up, man. Like it had the opposite effect they wanted.
Yeah. It's the Streisand effect. You know the Streisand effect?
No.
It's like when you try to stop a piece of news from being something, it then makes it a piece of news, and then makes it huge. Like there was a leak recently for Konami. There was a guy who had worked on Silent Hill, or apparently they think he's working on the new Silent Hill, and he had worked on the music of the previous ones. and he said, "Oh, I'm working on a new game, and it's an old property I used to work on," or something like that in an interview. And then Konami, no one knows, some publisher reached out and had the interview taken down, which then made it a huge story of like, "Oh, well, of course he's working on Silent Hill." That's what everyone.
I saw that.
And
yeah.
It's the same effect. I think the hot tub girl thing, like, I think what Twitch needs to do is potentially go like a Reddit route, where like Reddit has managed everything that's not safe for work very well. Like, it's all sectioned. Reddit can be chaos, Reddit can be clean, Reddit can be resourceful. Reddit is a very strange beast, but is like, to me, one of the best websites. I don't even use it that much, but for how resourceful and how much information you get off of it, I think it's great. But there's still like every version of everything. If they want to keep this kind of content on there, something needs to be done. I'm totally like, get your money where you get your money. The world's hard. Everything's coming down. People thought that they could trust their stocks and they could trust their careers, and then coronavirus hit and everything stripped away from you. Capitalism will bleed you at every chance it gets. So if you gotta shake some boobies around on Twitch to make $1, get at it. But I do understand that you have little guys on Twitch. You don't want him looking at you're looking.
Well, you're supposed to be 13, right? At least 13. But then it's like, how much of the platform is 13 to 18-year-olds, you know? And so like, they're the ones that are looking at this because obviously they're at that age where going beyond that is a little, risky. So it's definitely a gray area that just doesn't, because obviously older people are not going to sit there and watch that. They're going to go watch something else. You know what I mean? Like they don't need to sit there and watch that. So, but did you look at Twitter like when it happened, when they're like, yeah, so I just got banned?
No. What happened?
Like,
what happened? I'm not in
people in the comments are like, this is so sad. You're my favorite ASMR streamer. Like, I refinanced my house to support you. And I'm just like, bruh, like, she don't need, you don't need to be refinancing your house for this woman, bro. I mean, it's your money, but.
I refinanced my house to support you. Man, I hope that's just a really funny lie, because if that's true, oh my God, that's depressing.
It was very sincerely worded, so I don't know. I would not be surprised either way.
Yeah. No, you see some of the people in the chat on that. And it's not surprising. The way my buddy puts it, he's like, live by the sword, die by the sword, man. You're going to go around, you're going to lick ears on Twitch. You know what you're doing. So if you get the ban, that's the...
It's funny, though, because like there was a guy a few months back who got banned because it was 2 women on one live stream licking both sides of like the mics, both ears. And he green screened himself in the middle. I was like, oh yeah, right there. And they banned his ass. So I'm like, bro,
really?
Yeah. So it's like, but that's what they're doing. They're like, put your headset on, turn it up loud. I'm licking your ears. But then the guy actually like puts his head there, and all of a sudden it crosses the line. It's like,
why does that cross the line?
Yeah, but then they could be sitting there with those tights, just like spread eagle, like lick. It's just. Did you see the chick that farted on the mic?
No.
She straight up farted on the mic, and then I think she got in trouble. But
dude,
that crossed the line.
Farting on the mic, because people like that got clipped immediately. It was like,
oh yeah,
and then
everywhere.
It went out to the internet like, dude. It is like it's just pushing. Like we're reaching a headway, man, and it's a lot of things coming together. Like if you look at the job market, you go to school, you have student debt. So in some areas, there's like not a lot of jobs. It's like look at you, you're like Twitch streaming, you're doing TikTok. Myself, I worked the entire pandemic. I was working for a company making YouTube videos, and now I work for another company making a lot of their social content. Who would have thought that this industry would have been the safest one to be in through a pandemic? Like people who have like legitimate, like I went to school for this jobs, or like losing their jobs. And then it's like, you want to get back in the job market. You got to work minimum wage after going to school. But then you have the option of licking an ear on Twitch. I'm like, yeah, take it, bro. Take it.
It's crazy though, man, because you talk about how like, everybody's, they got these safe jobs, and all of a sudden this happens and it all goes out the window. I mean, you even got very successful, famous people like Logic and Soulja Boy and stuff like that. They jump on Twitch because they can't do concerts. It's just, it's crazy, man. Everybody's doing it.
Everyone, man. Well, I think this has like pushed forward the like streaming and social content ahead a lot. And also with every generation and every shift, like you always get those old fogies that are like, oh, you're watching someone play video games. It's like, you don't understand. It's a whole other, like, it's this live interaction with the streamer, live interaction with the chat. It's a community living and breathing in one moment. And it's gaming content on top of that. And sometimes it's incredibly skilled gaming content that you can never do on your own. It's its own form of entertainment that's completely unique. And the more and more old people either get on board or leave the space and these younger people come up consuming it, the bigger and bigger the platform gets. Like Twitch is, in terms of like growth and gaming alone, like the gaming industry already makes more than I think it's the movie, music, and sports. Maybe it's just movie and music, but it makes more than like those industries combined. And it's just growing more and more and more. And it has celebrities. It has like competitive like sports. It has live entertainment. It has all these pieces. It has this home connection where like anyone can do it. You can be an old person, you can jump into video games. It's most likely going to be the premier form of entertainment within the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, and my question is though, is at what point is there too many people doing it that it just, it's like impossible? I mean, even podcasts, like everybody's starting podcasts. And when a lot of the famous people do it, obviously, like the people are going to go watch the famous people over somebody like me, So it's just interesting to see like all the types of internet content kind of grow. But there's only so many consumers, and then if everybody, I mean, the other thing is I definitely pay attention to like statistics and stuff with this stuff, and like podcasts, it's crazy the number of podcasts that don't even make it to like episode 10,
Yeah.
And then, so one of my goals has always been to hit episode 100. And this is episode 51. So to me, it's like I'm halfway there to like, it's like I committed to it, and I'm not stopping. But, it's just, I don't know, man. It's crazy, seeing
it is
the grind that it is.
Oh, it's a huge grind.
Yeah.
It's a huge grind. But anything like the way I look at it is there's like several different grinds you can get into. And like we mentioned before, like the security in this is actually greater than a lot of other things. If you're like a trucker or a taxi driver, or you're working in like a fast food restaurant or any restaurant right now, you're like, it's almost like a ticking time bomb that just innovation is going to push you out. And innovation has like made jobs more efficient. So like these companies make more money than ever, but they require less people to run them. Like the amount of people it takes to run Google versus a Ford plant in the 1940s. Like there's just not the same opportunity for work, and there's not the same security. You get some of these jobs, there's no pension, there's no health benefits. There's like you're working for a startup and then you're making like a decent paycheck, but then it could flop at any moment or get bought out. The job market is just so rattled. And for this, you at least can like build an audience, and as long as you put the work in, there's a meritocracy in it. At least it seems like I'll keep giving good content and I get respected for that good content in funds to live. And as long as it's substantial enough that I don't need to get a bad job and I'm making at least as much of that or a little more, I guess it's better. But at least for me, I would say it's better.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I mean, I've been noticing, and I've been talking to other creators about it too, but it definitely seems like since everything's opening back up, it seems like everybody's starting to kind of like make up for not going on vacation for the last year. So stuff's down right now, but it's just interesting to see, with that, how many people that kind of made this a full-time thing during COVID are going to go back to doing normal jobs, because those, most of those jobs are going to come back. But I mean, I don't know where I'm going with it. It's just, I'm curious to see how everything kind of bounces back after COVID, I think, especially with this industry, like just content creation and Twitch and all that stuff,
There's just less people are at home. There's going to be less eyes on screens. I've definitely seen a dip in my numbers for sure. But I think it's what the guy who I stream with, what he's always said is it's always about the product. You're always working on creating a product. And as long as your product is pure and good and not irreplaceable, but potent, then you can count on long-term work. Like the way I look at it is my product is my stand-up. All these other things I do around them are auxiliary and I enjoy doing them. Like I said, I love making the Twitch. I love making my TikToks, but those all feed into the product that is my stand-up. Because when I release a stand-up special, when people come see me live, that's such a unique experience. I try to be honest to my sense of humor, honest to who I am. I don't compromise and do hack jokes because I know they'll appeal to a wider audience. And then people have to come to you to see that. Like Kanye West is crazy. He's crazy and he does crazy things. But when he drops an album, people show up because the product is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, for me, seeing how everything's kind of dipping, it just kind of made me think, you know, because I was very focused on Twitch. Like from the beginning, that's where, you know, it seemed like that was the place to make the money. But then I realized, you know, YouTube, unlike TikTok, you post a video and it continues to make money basically forever, right? Or, you know, whenever. But TikTok, the creator fund, I don't know if you know, but you post a video and it only makes money for the first 3 days.
Really?
Yeah. But it kind of makes sense because you can see it, you know, how like it's so, I wouldn't say easy, but it's way more common for a video to like blow up and get millions of views on TikTok than it is for YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
so I've started to focus more on YouTube. And then, like I said, always wanted to do the film and TV stuff. I was like, hey, you know, now's the best time to do it. You know, I have a following, you know, that'll probably help, especially if I get verified on TikTok, which I'm still trying very hard to do. But yeah, my thing is I can still go do the film and TV stuff and it's just going to help everything else, you know? Cause like you ever watch The Walking Dead?
Yes, a little bit. No, I've seen like clips here and there, but I never sat through and like watched a season or anything like that.
You know, the main guy's son, Carl?
I think so. Yeah.
He's like the kid running around.
Yes.
He was streaming on Twitch and no offense to him, but like I went into a stream, you know, and I'm like, hey, what's up? How's everybody doing? And like he just was, you never. I think I sat there for like 20, 30 minutes, never saw him interact with chat, but he had like 600, 700 viewers, you know. And to me, it's like if you can transcend. Well, I guess a better way of putting it is it's all about making yourself discoverable, right? And so now that everything is kind of going back to normal, unless people are on their phones watching TikTok or watching YouTube or watching Twitch, it's like, what can I do to kind of like go beyond that? And it's like, maybe acting could be a thing, you know? So.
And that's the mentality I think you need to have. It's like, things are shifting, things are changing. Like I've always been, my view, like a friend of mine asked me, they were like, are you afraid of climate change? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm not. They're like, why not? And I was like, because there's nothing I can do about it. I'm like, if the planet either we figure it out, or we die. It's like, I don't know. Like,
it's a myth. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Like,
who knows, man?
No one knows. But it's like they say we're all gonna die soon, but there's always been a doomsday. There's been like nuclear holocaust in the 50s when everyone had nukes and everything. In the 90s, they thought people were gonna die from starvation because there wouldn't be enough food, and then we made GMOs. It's like there's always innovation to fix these things. There's nothing I can do about it. Me worrying about it I can't fix climate change. So you just gotta move with the way things change. Everything closed down, started making TikToks that push things forward. Things open up, less people watching TikTok, working on my stand-up, using this leverage that I got to like get my American visa, get down to the States, start touring. Like you have to keep shifting with what happens. And for someone like yourself, sticking to the Twitch, past this like dip that we're all going to experience is going to make you so much better in the long run, and it is going to blow up your platform even more and going to make you so much better at this. And like, who knows what this grows into? You start acting, you start doing different live gigs, then you're shoutcasting for somewhere. Like you just have to keep moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, I'll never know unless I try, too. I think that's another thing. A lot of people just sit there and think about stuff, but they never actually commit to trying something, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, a big thing that I've noticed, and I feel like you've probably noticed it, too, but you go look at anybody who's successful at anything, and there's always a pattern, and the pattern is through everything, they just kept doing it, you know? They never stopped. So...
Have you read the book Atomic Habits?
I haven't.
It's very good for like it just teaches you how to build good habits and like how to get rid of bad ones. And in the book he highlights the difference between motion and action. And motion is like, say if you want to, I don't know, you want to write a book. So you come up with a bunch of templates for books. You're like, oh, I could write a book about this. I could, and you put a bunch of ideas together, and you keep doing that. That's motion. That's inactive, and that's not it. Like sometimes has purpose, but for the most part has nothing. And people will use that as a form of procrastination. To be like, I'm getting work done because I'm making all these templates for the books. It's like, no, action is writing the book. Write the book, and you're going to learn more from the action. Because like I've always been a like go do it guy. When I started doing stand up, I was living in Mexico, had nothing, like almost no money. I got this ticket that I was getting deported because I didn't renew my visa. So I sold my dive gear to buy a ticket to go back to Canada. My family was in BC. I knew I wanted to do stand up. I knew I could have moved to BC, lived with them. But I knew if I did, at this point, I wasn't a very motivated person. I had just started learning about like Tony Robbins and stuff and just had like a taste of hard work. Never had worked hard in my life before. It wasn't until I started doing stand up in Toronto. And I was like, I know I'm going to be lazy. I know in my heart I'll be lazy if I move to BC. I'll live with my parents. I'll never save up the money. I'll just kind of dilly-dally around. So I was like, fuck it. Go. I'm going to go. And I just went to Toronto. I had no money. I had nowhere to go. I got to downtown Toronto. I had my little crappy laptop. I went to a Starbucks and I Googled Toronto homeless shelters. And then I found a youth shelter. I went and stayed there. I was like 23 years old. When I got there, they told me, oh, we don't have any beds. Then someone came in drunk. Like as they gave me some food to eat. And as I was eating the food, someone came in drunk. So he lost his bed because they have a zero tolerance policy on any substances. So I got a bed there. I stayed there for like 4 months. And then I stayed at another intermediate housing place for like 2 months. So my first 6 months was like staying in shelters. And then I moved into a place with some comedians. But that entire time I was doing comedy and I felt so good because I actually had a purpose. I never had a purpose before. I was just some kid running around getting drunk, trying to get laid. That was all I ever did. And now even though I was homeless, I was so much happier, so much more focused. And it's like, just take the action, just go and do the thing. And you learn more. I learned how to do stand-up so much better from just going out and chasing it rather than moving back home with my parents and figuring it out first.
I've been to British Columbia, by the way. That's the only place. I've been to Canada once, and it was British Columbia. It's very, very clean, nice place.
Beautiful. It's a very beautiful place. I love it.
All the government buildings and stuff look like really old timey, you know?
Yeah.
So
we got a lot of stuff that looks like old British things.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like green tops on the tops of the roofs and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know much about Canada. I mean, I'm sure you know a little bit about the U.S. just because, you know, all the nonsense is always in the news and everybody's talking about how ridiculous things are over here politically and stuff. But I mean, I talked to Jordy 2D and the joke over here is just, you know, everybody in Canada is nice, you know?
To an extent, I think we're definitely, a lot of Canadians are like very polite. It depends on where you go. Like Toronto's very polite, but they're not really very friendly. It's a big city, so people don't take the time to like be your friend or hang out with you or anything like that. Certain areas are nicer than others. Sort of like the east coast of Canada, the Maritimes area, is known for being like the nicest area, where it's like stupidly nice. Where like people will let a stranger sleep on their couch, kind of thing. Like it's just.
And is that where that's where British Columbia is, right? Like that area?
British Columbia is the other end. British Columbia is the West Coast. That's like, that's our California.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's super nice, like the most beautiful province. It has trees and mountains and all this like just amazing stuff over there. It has like every season you have something new to do. In the winter, if you're a skier or snowboarder, you can go up to Whistler Blackcomb and they have amazing skiing, snowboarding. In the summer, those turn into mountain bike trails and you can just go down the city. There's tons of food to eat. There's a huge like multicultural mix. It's a great city, but it rains like crazy. That is the biggest downside.
Yeah, I think it rained while I was there. But one of the things, because I talked to Jordy about this too, because obviously, you know, he's over in Canada. But when I got there, or because I was on a boat at the time, and so it was a port call, you know. So like we were allowed to like explore for like 2 days, and then we got back on the boat, and, like, you know, went back on our way. Um, but where I was stationed was literally like a 20-minute boat ride across to get to British Columbia. So like I always saw it. I was like, man, before I leave here, I'm gonna go check it out. And then we ended up doing like some kind of joint military thing with Canada, and it was crazy, man. Because I was on the boat and we were in like the Straits right there. I don't know if you know what that is, like between Washington and like where British Columbia is.
Okay, yeah.
And we were like training with your guys's version of Navy SEALs, and I was like brand new, fresh out of boot camp, low man on the totem pole. So we're just, you know, like just cruising around, you know, not really doing anything, just, you know, waiting to like actually go down south to like chase drug runners by like Central America and stuff. And this I was outward, like you drive the boat, like I can't even think of the word because I hated being on a boat. I was on the bridge of the boat, right? Yeah. And we would switch back and forth between one person was driving the boat, the other person had like binoculars and was like making sure we weren't gonna like run into somebody that's, you know, doesn't have radar on like a little dinghy or something, you know. Somebody's got to like watch because, you know, they don't trust it. But I'm out there with my binoculars, and all of a sudden a spotlight turns on, and like a bunch of helicopters come over, guys drop down, they start doing like semi-munition exercises. There's like semi-munitions are like paintball, right? But like way, like it hurts way more. Yeah. And like they're like flying past me and stuff, like, holy crap, this is no joke, you know. But like that like couple of days, that was my experience with like Canadians and stuff. And they had just, I think at the time passed where they made marijuana legal in Canada. I said California almost. So like when I went there, everybody was smoking and like partying. So it was funny. Everybody was super happy and nice, you know.
Dude, yeah, legalization was a great moment. It's like a long time coming for us. We've had like a huge pot culture forever. Like BC has always had like crazy bud, and I mean Toronto has like tons of we have like vapor lounges where people just go and sit. It's like a bar, but you just smoke weed in there. And it's just nice that we have it legalized. It's nice that you don't need to worry about it. It's nice that you can just go buy it on a street corner now, or you can grow your own plants. Because it's like, I don't know, I've always been very pro cannabis. I've had like a weird relationship with it for a long time because I've like, if I smoke too much, I get very paranoid and very uncomfortable. But I've started smoking this like CBD cannabis, and it like, normally my mind is going a mile a minute. The way I describe it is two dudes playing squash. It's just like ideas and thoughts are just like bing, 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 bing. And it like never turns off. Meditation helps a little bit. But the thing that helps the most is like this CBD cannabis. It just like
mellows
calms my mind down, and I can just focus. It's like, I think I've never been diagnosed, but I might have ADHD. I don't know. But this helps me not need, like, if I was to need to get medication, I wouldn't have to. I can just smoke a little weed, do it in the morning, and I don't like have to rip a bong. I just take a couple puffs and then I just go about my day.
So you wouldn't call yourself a pothead, is what you're saying? Like you're...
No, like I'm not like a stoner to the point where like I have some buddies that get like ripped consistently. There's a few comics that like are like, there's this one comic, he's maybe the funniest person I've ever seen in my life, Mike Rita. He's out of Toronto. He used to run the show at Vapor Central, which was this vapor lounge where he would run Stoner Sundays. And this man, I saw him take like 10 dabs on stage. Every time he would come up, he was hosting, so he'd come up in between the comedians, someone would give him a dab, and he would hit dabs. He hit like 2 back to back, and he would hit these dabs and go like, and then do bits and then do an act and then bring people on. It was like it was a spectacle to watch.
I bet.
But yeah, I don't smoke weed like that.
Because a lot of the guys that I would do jujitsu with, since they were, you know, like big into like obviously 10th Planet, they all, you know, everybody was always talking about Joe Rogan podcast, and like they would smoke before like class started, because they would always talk about how it like helped kind of like, it helped you think about, because it's like mind chess, you know, you're trying to figure out how you can get past somebody to choke them out, you know, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And so I always thought that was interesting. Like I know I've heard Joe Rogan talk about how like some UFC fighters, I've talked about training that way and how like it kind of just it helps them like learn better. So it's interesting. Because I mean, when I was in California, I've done it a few times, but I mean, it's not recreational over here in New Mexico yet. Like I think they just passed it to be. So once I moved from California, I haven't really touched it, but I think it's supposed to be legal here in like April of next year. So like they're giving them like a year to like figure out all the policies and stuff, which is probably a good idea, or else it would just be chaos. But because I mean, over here, you know, you can literally be in like Colorado, everything's fine, and then you go to, you know, the other state with your weed and stuff, and you end up in jail. Like it's just crazy how it's all depending on whether you cross this line or not. Yeah.
Like even in Canada before it was legalized, if you got caught with like a few grams on you, I think they make you throw it out or something. Like I don't think anything would happen. Like I think if you got caught with like less than an ounce on you, unless you had like an ounce and like a scale and like baggies, like there was like intent to sell or something, like I think you'd be fine. Maybe like a little slap on the wrist or a fine or something. But like over there, I know you guys get, in some states you get caught with like a gram and you're going to prison. And it's like, what?
It's crazy. I've watched live PD on my stream sometimes, and somebody will get pulled over because like their tire looks like the lug nuts are loose, so they'll pull them over, but hey, your tire's loose, and all of a sudden they got like trash bags full of weed, and it's like you're going like for a long time to prison, you know, like 10 years. It's like, geez, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
dude. And like, I understand that weed is viewed in a certain way, but I truly don't believe it's a drug that it shifts your mental state, which makes it a drug, but so does coffee. And if we have like booze on the shelves, like if we're judging drugs on like civil damage, like how much of like consuming it affects the populace and causes people to do bad things, man, you get high, you chill out, you like, some people smoke weed for aches and pains. It has medicinal benefits that no other, like it knocks a whole bunch of pharmaceuticals out of being necessary. Like I'm saying, like I smoke it, I wouldn't need to take like ADHD medication or anything like that. Like mind you, I'm self-diagnosing on that whole front. I have not been diagnosed, and no one is giving me this.
I think everybody says they got a little bit of it, but obviously some people got it more than others, and then people have it really extreme, or like, you know, they got to go like take medication and stuff. So you never know, man.
Yeah. But like I think I'm really happy to see legalization start to get rolled out in the States, and I hope it becomes everywhere. I really think that because it's been illegal, we haven't been able to research it, and we haven't been able to find what the real medicinal benefits are of it. Like because I work for a cannabis page now and I make cannabis content for them. So I do the extra effort to learn more about cannabis. And when you start digging into the science of it, you realize we know nothing. They'll know because so much studies have been just shut down or cut off or didn't get the proper supplies. So they'll be like, oh yeah, people say like, oh, cannabis has cancer fighting properties. And they're like, well, we know that if we took a certain type of cannabinoid and then we gave it to rats that had cancer, that their cancer reduced by 30%, but we have no idea why. And we know there's kind of a cause and effect here, but we have no clue what is the relationship. So as this legalization happens, we're going to learn so much about this like extremely powerful plant. Like think about how high you can get on weed. Like if you eat too many edibles, you can get like psycho state high where you think like the world is going to explode, and then you come right back to normal. Like not a lot of substances can do that.
Yeah. I would say like the only thing that's scary about it, I mean, the thing that I can think of right now, just by what I know from personal experience, but like I went to high school with somebody, and I think he had some mental illness, like kind of like schizophrenia or something kind of manifest, you know? And I was like, I don't know if I was watching his Facebook Live or something, but I had seen that like he got super high and had basically induced like an episode, you know, and he was like downtown just going crazy. And so like I could see how like for some people it's like there's not that education that like it can induce stuff like that. People don't know, you know. It's like, yeah, they need to do research and stuff, but like it's hard to get funding for something like that when it's in the state that it is, you know? So
100%. And one thing I had to learn on my own was that no one teaches you, because there isn't the proper education about it, is that you just need to get a little high. You just take a, like, if someone hands you a joint, you don't like take a huge drag off it and smoke the whole joint. You take a, like, a puff, and then you pass it and you just sit on that and see how you feel. But with like drinking, we have that education. People know that if you drink too much, you get drunk, you can throw up, you can get alcohol poisoning. People don't know that if you get too high, you can feel like you're going insane. And for some people, it can induce,
yeah,
like, if someone has an underlying condition of psychosis, there has been some connections between that.
yeah. So it'll be interesting, like you said, to see what kind of comes out as it gets, because I could totally see it being legalized in like the next, I don't know, 2 to 5 years or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think
So
we're slowly gonna roll back into, or we're slowly gonna roll into like a, where it's just common. People just smoke, and it's just like it's a
it's like
thing.
drinking.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
like there's a lot of old stigmas that people just are stuck with. Like there's the whole, it's a gateway drug, and it's like, man,
yeah.
if weed's a gateway drug, how is alcohol not a gateway drug? How it's like they're both drugs.
Yeah, and I mean that was the thing too, is when I was in the military, obviously they can't smoke or do any of that stuff, you know. So everybody just got shit faced all the time. And I mean, I know people who smoke a lot, and you know, they get super high and they just kind of like get a more mellow, like slow talking version of themselves, you know, start talking about crazy stuff. But when people get super drunk, like you never know what's gonna happen. I mean, like I knew people who would just try to start fights with you for no reason because they're just that drunk, you know. And it's like, or you know, you got to wrestle them for their keys because they're trying to just like get behind the wheel and drive away. Like they don't have, they're inebriated or whatever you call it, you know. Like they just can't make conscious decisions like they normally
Yeah.
would.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
they're two completely different types of intoxicated.
yeah,
Uh, and yeah, like we've said, I think I think we're gonna get to a place where it's much more common and much more casual. Like there's a lot of times I'm out at a social event and I would way rather just get a little high and just like kind of hang out rather than drink. Sometimes you don't want to drink, and it's like less effect on your body and stuff too. Like if I'm on like a good clip and working out and stuff, I get drunk, it's like, oh, then the next day I'm hungover, I can't work out that day, I kind of ruined the progress from a few
yeah.
days before that, because I'm eating a bunch of greasy food. When I get high, I'm just kind of like just grooving a little bit, I have a good sleep at the end.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because like I never really, obviously, you know, I turned 21 in the military, and with everybody the way they are in the military, you know, I went and partied and tried it out and everything, but I just, the negative effects from it just never really felt worth it, you know. Like I was just like, why am I
Yeah,
doing this? You know, and like
dude.
it got to the point where I was like, well, you know, I was living alone at one point. I didn't have a roommate when I first got to San Francisco, and so I turned 21 living alone. And one day I was like, I'm just sitting here drinking, like binge watching Harry Potter or something like that. Like, what am I doing? This is so stupid. Like, I should go out and explore, you know? And instead, I'm
Yeah,
sitting here by myself. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. I feel like alcohol. I think. I mean, I've heard all kinds of different takes on it, but I think a lot of it just has to do with regulating it, and obviously the pharmaceutical company is gonna take a hit when it becomes legal because, like you said, you know, like somebody who might have ADHD could just, you know, smoke a little CBD or something like that, and then they're not gonna take those
there's
pills, you know?
tons of medicinal benefits from it that still need to explore to be what exactly they are, but you can't patent it, right? You can't patent a plant.
Right? Yeah,
It's
you
just
can't do
you can
that.
just
Yeah.
grow it. And hopefully, like, pray to God they don't weasel some way to patent cannabis. I mean, I think there would be an uprising if that happened. I would hope there would be.
Yeah.
But I think booze is like it's so ingrained in us from like a young age, because it's such a part of like our culture. Like the first time I drank, I was like 14 or something, and like you're at a party and now it's connected. You're like, first experience of like a high school party, I'm drinking. I have this like now connection in my brain that drinking equals like fun, and you just kind of carry that through life, that every like social interaction
Right.
requires drinking, every like party requires drinking. And maybe it does enhance the experience. Maybe everyone getting a little loose and drunk makes the whole time more fun. but I do kind of want to step away from it a little bit. I just find it, like you said, the physical repercussions from it just seem so much worse than what you get out of it.
Yeah. Like there was one time I was hungover and like I would try to eat and then the nausea would come back and I'd puke and then I'd, just feel like crap and then I'd be like, oh, I should eat. I'm kind of hungry and then puke again. Like it's just, weed doesn't do that to you.
No. And also like you're married, man. You're married. Like,
well, yeah,
most of the
obviously,
time
there's a kid running around. I can't be getting drunk all the time, but
yeah.
yeah.
Like when I'm getting drunk, it's mostly to get laid. It's like what I've realized now. I'm like, that's why I'm drinking, because I'm like, oh, if I drink, I'm at a party. There's that socializing aspect. It
Right.
might lead to getting laid. And then I'm like, why? Why am I having this mental connection between booze and ladies?
I just think it's funny that you're always like, I'm never doing this again. And then like a couple days later, it's like, hey, you want to go out for drinks? Yeah, sure. You're like it didn't even happen.
Yeah. But it becomes like, I've had stints of quitting drinking where like not around COVID, where when I've been going out and stuff, and it gets so hard to socialize. It is like if you go out, everyone's drinking, you're the only one not drinking. It's strange. You like don't know what to do with your hands. You don't have like a thing to fidget with and taste, and you now have to like let down your social barriers naturally rather than being lubricated by the booze. So you have to learn like a brand new way to talk to people, and that's hard, man.
Yeah, I mean, I watched people quit smoking cigarettes when I was on the boat, and so like they'd either take up vaping or like they would literally just go sit out by like the people smoking with like a cup of coffee or something, just because that was their social little like getaway where they go talk and stuff. And it goes back to those habits, man. It's hard to break habits,
So hard to break habits. And when they get built in, like, getting built into you from a young age, like I have this habitual idea that if I get drunk or if I'm around people drinking, then I'm going to have fun, and that it's directly related to fun. It's like, is it? Maybe it is a little bit, but it's like, you need to break that cycle. And I try not to shift it into something else. Try to keep the eating clean. Trying to pick up something like exercising or something as my new habit, or just fill the void with video games some more. I've been getting into like the Dark Souls series quite a bit. I'm playing Bloodborne for the second time right now, and those kind of fill the void of me wanting to use any sort of substance.
I heard those are rage inducing, man. Those games.
They're like I like them a lot. Like they are.
I've never tried them. So.
They are. I've only beat one. I've only beat Sekiro, and both Bloodborne and what's it called? Dark Souls 3. I've made it to the last boss, and then just like was like, okay, I get it. I get it. And Sekiro, I made it to the last boss and did the same thing. I put the game down. I was like, ugh. And then I was like, fuck this. I went and watched some tutorials on how to beat the last boss and how you can kind of cheese them. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'm beating this. And I beat it. And it's the like gratitude from it or the feeling from beating it. Just you get this like, oh, like it's like this huge dopamine rush when you finally do it. When you see the health bar go to 0 and you're like, yes. Oh, that. And I enjoy that series a lot, and I like how it's kind of like infected the entire gaming market, because it's like it started with Dark Souls, or not Dark Souls, Demon Souls, which was like it was like PS2 or PS3, and it was a super niche game. And then Dark Souls, more popular. Obviously, the Dark Souls series blew up. Now you have Souls likes. You have like Jedi Fallen Order, and like God of War took Dark Souls combat elements.
That like Sekiro Shadows Die Twice one. I saw that. Yeah, people compared that a lot.
Like that's like all those games. They like now Elden Ring was like the most popular game at E3. It's wild to think this like super niche hardcore genre has now like changed the video game market. Yeah. And some of them are like, I tried playing The Surge, and I was like, it's not really for me. It's a little too clunk. It's like it makes you appreciate how good the ones are that come from the actual guy.
Have you gotten into the Resident Evil games at all?
Yeah, I've played a bit of one. I've maybe about half of one. I've played two when the remake came out. 4, 5, and 7. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like all over the place.
I played, I think, a little bit of 5 at like a party one time, and like we sat there for like a few hours playing it. Like, you know, that's the one when you're in like Africa, I think, or something, right? And there's like alligators and stuff.
Co-op.
Yeah. I think that was the thing. Like we were like every time we died, we like passed the controller or something, you know. But I really liked the newest one. I thought that was a great game. Like when I beat that one, I was like that was a good game, you know. I played a little bit of 7, but it was very slow and like there wasn't a whole lot of combat to it, so I don't think I ever finished it. I tried that in VR once and I was like, bro, I can't do this. Just the way I was like, dude, have you done VR at all? It's crazy,
a little
man.
bit. Not. I did that one bar fight VR. We just get to kind of like beat people up and throw stuff. And that's a fun game. But yeah, I haven't gone deep into it. I want to play like Alex and stuff like that.
It's still kind of like a gimmick, you know. I feel like it's not really like become a thing yet. But as the VR headsets get a little more affordable, I think it's gonna start to explode again. But I just remember I bought one, and like my little apartment, like I barely had enough room for like the little area to do it. And I remember starting up like the tutorial demo, and like you're in like a trailer, and like it's all retro looking, and this little robot pops up, and then like you throw a can at him or something. Like, bro, this is so crazy, man. Like I could see my hands, you know. Like that feeling was really cool, and then it just became like showing other people that demo and seeing their reaction to it for the first time. But I remember my dad really got into Beat Saber because I gave it to him after I moved, and I was like, I just don't have room for it anymore. But I remember the first time playing Beat Saber, and like, you know, you're swinging the lightsabers and stuff, and then I turned around for the first time, and I got the feeling like I was gonna fall off the edge, and I was like, dude, this is insane, man. It like gives you vertigo. Yeah. So I'm really curious to see where they go with that. Yeah.
I am interested in for the future of it. There's massive companies are involved, like Facebook, Valve, and PlayStation are all like seem like they're putting their boots to it and trying to make it a thing. There's also Microsoft. Remember Microsoft at that one press conference? They showed that augmented reality thing.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know.
And they always showed like Minecraft. Yeah. They never showed it again.
Yeah.
And no one know what. But I can't remember what it was called.
I can't think of it. I can't think of it either.
Watching this, they're probably freaking out right now. It's called this.
Yeah.
But there's like the future of gaming seems so interesting. Like I said before, I think it's going to be the premier form of entertainment. I think if we can figure that out, where we get like locomotion in games, where you can like run and jump and do stuff, that will be the next like huge sport. That will be like if you could do like wizard battle, but you're actually running around. So there's like an athletic element, but you can also like shoot a fireball out of your hands. That's gonna blow up. That'll be huge.
It's gonna be like, oh, can you believe it? This guy speed ran it. He like didn't sleep for 48 hours. He beat the game in one go, and it's like, Jesus, how did he do that, man? He stayed awake, running around, and all. You know, like, it'll be a feat.
There's gonna be there's gonna be speed runners who have to be like legit some of the
athletic,
top-tier athletes in the world.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could have sworn Microsoft like teased Fallout or something like that on their own VR type of thing, and it never happened. Like, I don't know.
They did some. I can't. It was like I wish I could remember the name of it, but they did tease something at a press conference, and it was cool as hell. It was at E3, and I remember they showed a guy. It's like augmented reality, so it's like you see a table, and then they showed what he sees, and he saw like Minecraft, and he could like pull it and expand it and move Minecraft in this 3D space, which is like bonkers.
It's like Iron Man, you know?
Yeah. Like the Jarvis stuff, like what's that movie? Minority Report, when he's looking at all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I want all that stuff, man. Did you watch any of the E3 stuff?
I kind of skimmed through it. Like I said, my AC broke, so I've been kind of dealing with all that stuff, and we're going on vacation this weekend, so like we've been getting ready for that. It's the first time I actually like taking a weekend off in like a year since COVID started, you know. So
damn. So you need a vacation.
And I've moved twice during that time because like I moved from my place in San Francisco, and then I moved to because my wife was living in like her mom's old house, and so I moved there, and for a week we like packed everything up, and then we moved to Simi Valley over there in like LA, and then in December we were like screw this, we moved from Simi Valley to New Mexico. So and like my wife's like, I don't know about this apartment complex. Like the AC dies, you know, like this and that. And I'm like, I'm not moving until I have to, because like, we have one more year and then we can get a house. Because over here, I don't know how it is in Canada, but you have to have 2 years of self-employed tax history to use that income to qualify for a home loan. Like even being out of the military with like a Veterans Affairs loan, you know. So we've just kind of like counting down, you know, but. Yeah, it's been a crazy like year and a half, man. Yeah, it's been a lot. Like I like sitting and thinking like I haven't taken a break, you know? It's like, yeah, we need it. And like we're going to Disney World in September too, so we're finally like gonna go explore a little bit, you know. And my stepson is 4 now, so he's kind of got a personality and can like remember stuff a little bit better, so he'll actually experience it a little bit, you know. So like I
good, man.
I feel like I started to remember stuff around like 4 or 5. You know,
I think my first memory was my 4th birthday. My mom made a caterpillar cake, and that's like one of my. When I think back of like when I remember things, I'm like that's one of the first things I remember. It was a blue caterpillar cake. It had a face on it, and it had Jolly Ranchers, or not Jolly Ranchers, Lifesavers for like feet along the side.
Yeah, no, it's crazy seeing him like start to develop a little personality. You know. Like every day I notice, you know, he never said that word before. Like he's learning how to talk. Yeah. It's not as much jibber jabber anymore, you know?
Does he have like a favorite section of Disneyland that he wants to go to?
I mean, I feel like right now at his age, he doesn't really understand the concept, but when we get there, he's going to recognize stuff from like his, you know, movies that he's watched on like Disney Plus, and he's just going to want to like go see everything. I think it's, it really is like a magical place, because I mean I've only been to Disneyland I think once, over in California, and like I mean just going and seeing like a Bug's Life, all that stuff where they had like they made it feel like there was bugs running around your legs and stuff like that. I was like, it really is, you know, it's crazy, man. Like they really like take your childhood and bring it to life.
They put it all right in front of you, man. They're like, this is one of the most incredible things you ever see. You're like, it is. And now for kids, man, they get a huge deal. You're getting like Marvel, Star Wars, Avatar, like
spoiled,
man, all in one place. God damn.
Like when we went to Disneyland, it was just we were there for one day. Like we drove there, like super early. Got, you know, as soon as the park opened, we ran around until the park closed, and then we drove back like that, all in the same like, you know, time. We're going to Disney World. We're going to be there for like 5 days, you know, because there's like 5 parks or something like that. So every day's a different park. It's going to be crazy, man. So I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I'm jealous. I wish I was going.
And like in the military, if you wanted to do anything like that, you had to get approval. So it's just nice to like feel like I could just go do whatever I want again, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I got zero like understanding of the military. Like I feel like the military culture in America is so much more common that like most people probably know stuff like that. Like I know nothing about what goes on in the military and like what you have to do and what you have to go through. Like you do your training. Do they send you like overseas? Were you like in America the whole time?
So specifically I joined because I wanted to do search and rescue. Like I didn't want to go kill people, you know, like I didn't want to join the military and like deal with all that stuff. Cause I knew people who went and did that. Like I could tell they were just different after that, you know, and I didn't want that. And my stepfather was in the Coast Guard. And it's funny because over here they kind of like joke around like the Coast Guard's not real military, but like we wear uniforms, we go through boot camp, like we do weapons training, all the same stuff, just not as extreme because, you know, obviously we're not going to like war. But the funny thing is though, is like we've been in every major war, like our branch of the military, we always drove boats and stuff. But it was interesting because when I first got in, you don't really have a choice of where you're going or what you're doing. They just throw you somewhere. And it's like, all right, you know, survive until you get to go to the school you want to. And I wanted to go do helicopter stuff. And that's a very hard job to get. So it was a long wait. And so I was on a boat and we went down south and I mean, I went all over Mexico, El Salvador, Puerto Vallarta, like all kinds of stuff down there, all the way down to Panama. And so it was interesting because, you know, being very low rank in the military, I was broke. I didn't have like money to like spend. Like I literally saw friends just spend their whole paycheck. You know, like they needed like money to like get a taxi back to the boat. Like it was bad.
Yeah.
But I was obviously a little better with my finances. But yeah, no, you go to boot camp, you know, and I went like 2 weeks out of high school, so it was really like, you know, I was working at the movies because, like I said, movies has always been something I cared about, and so I was working at the movies, put in like my 2 weeks notice, went to boot camp. They flew me across the country. They put you on a bus, and everybody's talking crap like, oh, this ain't gonna, you know, it's gonna be a piece of cake, and then they just, I mean, they break you down. They test how well you can handle stress. Because, you know, you're going to have all this responsibility. People's lives are going to be in your hands. And if you break under that pressure, people are going to die. And so they make everything act like it's the end of the world. Like if your shoes aren't tied right, you're screwed. Like you're going to go run laps, you know, everything. And like I saw people have like mental breakdowns. And I think we started out with like 125, 130 people. And when I left, there was like 60 something or 70 something. So like half of the people were gone.
A lot of people washed out.
Yeah. And like my boot camp was not as much physical as it was mental. There was a lot of stuff you had to memorize, and like they would call you out like when you're getting food at the galley, and if you didn't know it, like like you were screwed, man. Like they would literally send you to they called it ramp, and I can't remember what it stood for, but I feel like I'm getting really into the weeds about it. But like the first night we were there, like they like demonstrate to you like what you're gonna become, and so like. The first night we were there, these people come in just chanting like ramp, like robots, and they're holding this little like raft full of bricks with life jackets on, and they just look miserable. And they like walk through our squad bay and like do a lap around the football field, and we're just like, what is that? We have no idea, you know. But what happened is if you got in trouble while everybody's going to sleep, you would have an extra like hour and a half of like wasted time doing push-ups, carrying around this raft, holding your gun, you know, doing this and that, like all this stuff to just tire the shit out of you so that you wouldn't mess up again. And I went to that once because my pants fell down during a uniform inspection. But yeah, no, man, it's crazy looking back at it because it was only 8 weeks, but when you're there, it feels like forever, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you're always...
a long 8 weeks.
You always have eyes on you, and you're always doing something, and you know somebody's gonna look at what you're doing. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'd be cut out for that. I'm so scatterbrained. Like even when they're just like, you have to remember a bunch of stuff. I'm like, oh, I'd be done right there.
It was such meaningless stuff too. It'd be like, what was the name of the boat that sank in 1782? This and that, and you know, like there's only one answer, but like people would get it mixed up with something. And they would be confident that it was right, but then when they told them they were wrong, you just saw them like, "Oh, I'm screwed up," you know. Like when my pants fell down, they told me that I was going to be moved to like a company that was like a few weeks behind, and I had just booked my parents had just booked their plane tickets, and like I mean it was super expensive to get refunds for tickets at that time, and so like I was just like, "Oh, bro, I screwed up," you know. But I'd never gotten in trouble before, so they're like, "Oh, we were just trying to scare you," and like you're so close to graduating that you know like we didn't want you to have to like get sent back, you know, but
that would be that. I can't even imagine thinking you're almost done. And then they're like, yeah, you're going to
2 more weeks.
Oh, yeah. You're like, what? 2 more weeks?
I actually thought to myself, I was like, bro, I might just quit. I was like, I don't know if I want to do 2 more weeks. Like, this is hell, you know, but it's funny looking back and thinking like everything they had you do had a purpose, you know. Like they would literally sit there for 2 hours and have you take your life jacket on, or put your life jacket on, take it off, for 2 hours, just standing there, you know. And if you didn't do it fast enough, you're like the last one to do it. Do push-ups, you know, until you're not the one doing it like that anymore. And then, like my first day on the boat, like out at sea, we had a drill, and like boom, everybody's got their life jackets on in like 2 seconds. I'm like, that's what it was for. You know, like everything had a reason behind it. You know, it's crazy.
That makes sense. No, like they've been doing it for so long, and if there's anything America does well, it's military. You guys have military figured out very, very well. And so like it makes sense that they would have like you think they're doing these things just to grind you down, but they there's a structure to it. There is
Yeah.
an absolute structure to it. I'm kind of interested in like some of the stuff that they don't reveal. Like when you get deep level military, like if you get to go see Area 51 and stuff, they got laser cannons or something in there.
I mean, so they have like different clearances, and I had like I had the level below top secret because of aviation and like codes and stuff. But I mean, it was literally just to be able to talk on radios and like know about drug operations and stuff like that. So it was nothing like that. But I had friends who like did they call it like secret squirrel stuff, you know? But
Yeah.
I don't know, the Coast Guard, it's not Department of Defense, so they're not really like concerned with like what China's doing or something, you know. But
Yeah.
But I've got buddies and I've heard stuff like they've been really hammering in right now like they're about to go to war. Like everything's like sign up and listen to the military. You know, like the enemy is like gonna strike first if we don't and all that. Like it's crazy, man. I think something's heating up, and I know Taiwan is a big deal right now. Like
I think Taiwan's a big deal. There was obviously all the stuff that happened in Hong Kong, and them and India are at each other's throats constantly. There's stuff going on the board over there. So who knows? Maybe China seems like they're always going to be prepared. So maybe they're just trying to be prepared. But
maybe I hope so. I hope it's just that.
Yeah, because I don't know. I'm pretty comfortable with where the things are.
I've watched videos where like they'll like kind of show the different ways that like World War III could start or like play out, and like what if China and the U.S. went to war, and it's interesting, man, because they've just got so many more people than us, you know.
Yeah, they have so much more people. So like and then it's like what other countries get involved in it. It's like, does Russia get involved? Does
definitely
like the UK and Germany and like all these European countries, does like the whole European Union come together and get involved in some way? And then there's like, India obviously has their problems with China. So then does like Pakistan and India have like a long-standing feud? So it's like, do they go at each other's throats? Does that bring in the Middle East? Like, is it like the craziest war we've ever seen?
It sounds like if there's gonna be another war anytime soon, it's gonna lead to like something very global, you know, like a World War III. But I don't know. I feel like there's just so many consequences of it. I mean, if we went to war with China, we get so many like, you know, things from China that if they cut that off, like, I mean, it might be good for us because then all of a sudden there's all these jobs. You know, somebody's got to make all these things that we get from China, but that would definitely throw a wrench in the gears for a little bit, you know. And then oil's always been a thing, so.
And that's the thing with oils. Like I'm looking at oils like obviously like one of the most valuable things on the planet. And Canada has a huge oil industry. Like the whole state of Alberta is just oil. They have the oil sands out there, and they have this tech that basically they can pull oil out of the sand. And it's wild because the guy who created the technology, he like gave it to these people in Alberta, or maybe was it Alberta? I don't know where he gave the tech to. I think he was from the UK. He gave the tech to the people in Alberta. They built these like oil sand, I guess, plants to get the oil out, and he left for like 10-15 years and came back, and they're like, look what we did with your technology. And he just saw like scorched earth, just like the nature destroyed. And he was like, if I could go back in time, I would never create this. He's like, this is horrible. But I think like it seems everyone who I know who's like a stock guy is a big like, oh, where do you put your money? Everyone's saying clean energy. That's where the future is moving. So it's like, who's got the best clean energy seems like what's going to happen. And like Elon Musk pushing the electric car, and it's like everyone's looking for clean ways to power everything, which seems like what we need to do if we're going to lower our carbon footprint, and if all the dangers they say about it are true. So I don't know how much longer the oil industry has, and if the oil industry tanks, that could cause a war, just of countries being crippled by no one buying oil.
When I did jiu-jitsu with all those guys, you know, they'd come in all high talking about all kinds of stuff. They'd always talk about, yeah, dude, you know, some guy, he made an engine that runs off of water, and they killed his ass. And I'm like, you know, like go down this rabbit hole, and it's like, who knows, man, you know? it's definitely a whole
There
industry. So
there are like if you dig down some rabbit holes, there are some inventions that just kind of get pushed away. Like apparently there was like a car that ran on water, and I think it was like Ford or GM. Someone bought it, and they bought the patent for it, and they just locked it up. They're like, yeah, this isn't. No one's seeing this.
stomp on the
And
competition before it gets a chance to get up.
there was apparently when like all the cars were being made originally, there was like gas, electric, and steam, I think were like the three types of vehicles that people were creating. And people liked gas the most because it like popped and was like
It's
and would
noisy.
drive around
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, it was noisy and stuff. So like, hey, this one's cool. And that's why they went with it.
Yeah, I mean, I had a Mustang when I was yeah, Mustangs are big in Canada a little bit too, right? Like that's
Oh yeah, we got them here.
yeah. I know I just realized I have the proud owner. I don't have one anymore, but I had a V8 like a 5.0. I loved that car, and there was just something about the way it sounded, and stuff like that. It was just like, oh yeah, America,
Yeah.
But it's weird now because like I'll see Teslas drive by, especially in California because they're everywhere there, and like you'll see them like haul ass, past you, and it's like there was no warning, there was no noise. I could have stepped into the street, like it's crazy, man. There's just no noise.
They're just like,
it's not the same.
They just no, it's not the same, but I think it's like it's going to become the norm. It is like because you have this connection of it being like loud, powerful, but it's all culture shift. It's like, will the branding for Tesla be like silent and deadly or something like that? And then all of a sudden, the cool thing is to have the quietest car. It's like marketing. You change the social norms, you change what people want, and you change the psychology around the product. It's all what's his name? Anthony Bernays. Have you ever watched the documentary Century of the Self?
I have not.
It's the guy he was Freud's nephew. It's a super interesting documentary, and he invented modern day marketing. So basically, in like the 20s, he got Freud's papers on psychology. He's like, send them to me. I'll make a book and I'll publish it. And he did, and he like highlighted all the parts about sex and stuff to make the book salacious because he knew it'd make it sell better. But he realized he's like, oh, if you want to sell things, people used to sell things based on like, oh, here's a toaster, it'll last your whole life. These are the facts about it. This is why it's good. That was it. Then he's like, no. You need to appeal to people's subconscious desires. That's what you have to do. So people want to be liked. People want to find a mate. People want to be socially accepted. Like these are the things. If you can subtly hint that a man will seduce a woman if he buys this car, that's how you sell a car. And then sales went through the roof, baby.
Yeah.
Then they created consumerism.
Yeah, because it's always about having like the newest and nicest thing. That's what catches everybody's eye because they know, like you got money if you can afford all that stuff. So it's interesting.
You just have to you shift the cultural norm, and it also shifts like for us, we have an understanding of what is like a loud, powerful car and like how a car's supposed to sound. But there's going to be a whole generation of kids who grew up around electric cars, and that's just going to be normal for them.
I want to be that like old neighbor, and like 50 years from now, who he's got a gas powered car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pull out the Mustang.
I'm super excited for the self-driving cars. I want that. Like, I think it's one of the spookiest things ever because they all have cameras on them, and there's just going to be cameras everywhere, all over the world, constantly. And that's like 1984 in body.
Yeah.
But also, I just want to like lay back as a car's taking me somewhere.
So I'm sure Elon Musk probably has an answer for it or something. But my question is, a lot of it's all about like accident avoidance and stuff like that, right? What happens if two self-driving cars try to avoid an accident at the same time, and they both can only go in one direction? And so like, isn't that going to cause an accident itself? Like, I feel like there's going to be issues like that too.
I think that none of it will be perfect. The only way it could be perfect was like if they were all on the same grid.
Yeah.
And even then it wouldn't be perfect. Like there will be problems. It's just, is it going to be safer than it is now? Which I think it will be. But I think maybe if they have like split second understanding that like if they're going to crash, they crash in a way where they don't injure the people in the car. But it's that whole thing in, have you seen the movie iRobot?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I could talk about movies and TV a ton, man. That's my thing. Like I said,
that's your bag.
Yeah.
In that movie, the robot saves him instead of saving the little girl because he had a higher percentage of survival. So
Yeah,
it's like that, maybe that stuff starts to come into play.
it's
And
crazy,
we
man.
become, yeah,
It's
our
messed up.
values are, yeah, it is messed up. It's very messed up. Do you have like a favorite movie? What's like you don't, I know it's a hard question, but like in the realm.
I would say right now it's probably a tie between Blade Runner 2049. Like, I really like the futuristic stuff, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is like complete opposites because it's like, but I like Tarantino. And did you see that movie?
I've seen some of it, not all of it, but I did see Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, so I know that movie's not for everybody. Blade Runner, it's very long, it's very slow, but to me, it's like an epic.
Loved it.
Yeah, I don't really care for the original though, to be honest. It was too metaphorical and artsy, like where it cared about speeches and the little paper mache swan. I'm like, ugh. Like
Yeah.
I just want a badass on screen. Like to me, it was like they started off and it's like his one job is to hunt down rogue replicants or whatever, and then like it barely happens. It's all like just running around. Whereas Blade Runner 2049 felt like you got more of that. So, and Ryan Gosling's a badass.
So good. And I that aesthetic, like the whole, I played Cyberpunk on a PC, so it was fun for me. But
Me too.
Yeah. So like I had a good time. I know a lot of people didn't, but
I loved like the first. It was like the prologue of the game that I loved the most. Like when you're like going through the clubs, and like all that stuff, and then once your like partner dies, spoiler alert. Like once your partner dies, I was just like it had a different feel after that, and then it focuses on. It was still really good, but then after that point, it was like the more you got into the game, the more bugs there were, and it pulled you out of it a lot, which is I want to revisit it again in like a year.
I never beat it. I got like I got to level like 30, but I was never doing story stuff. I was just grinding all the side missions, and I never beat it. But I thought the world was really well built, and now that they're fixing all the bugs, like I want to go back and check it out, and I want to finish it. But you get to a point almost where you are like godlike powerful, and it kind of ruins the experience. And I think they sold the game as like being way more than it was. It was like going to be this never before experience thing.
Yeah.
But that aesthetic, that whole like gritty future where everyone has like good tech, but life is kind of shit. That's my favorite aesthetic. Like the Blade Runner thing. I love it. You have these huge shots with this like organ music. I saw that with my buddy so high on an edible. Like I was sitting in the theater when it opens and it's the eyeball and it's like it's like all these like flashes and words. We were like, what the fuck? It was a great movie to watch high. Great movie.
That and it just looks like somebody there's like some movie critic or something like that. It was like a quote that they kept showing for that movie, but it was like you could take every like still frame of that movie and like hang it up and put it on the wall. Like it's just so beautiful. Yeah.
There are so many scenes like the trash, trash city.
Trash, yeah.
And then you have
it was San Diego. They made San Diego a dump.
Yeah, is that what it was?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was funny, man.
Just living in the trash. There's the guy who has like the giant like monolith like building. There's like even
Vegas.
when there's like the Vegas,
no, Vegas looked so cool. It was all like it was like abandoned because I can't remember why they said, but there was sand everywhere and like that was cool.
That's where he finds
Harrison
fucking
Ford.
Buddy, right? And it's like all orange. Yeah. No, I really, man, it was such a fun movie. It does go on long, but it's just good.
I don't care, man. I like long movies because if they're done right, there's definitely movies where you're like, bro, that could have been an hour shorter, like. But that was one of those movies where I was like, I want more.
What did you think of Snyder Cut?
Bro, so my dad, my stepdad is very, very picky about movies. You ask him, how, like this movie, like this great movie, like Blade Runner. I'd be like, how was that? It was all right. Everything was all right. But my parents came to visit over here right when that came out, and like I waited. I was like, all right, we're gonna watch that. And my dad's like, how long is this movie? And I was like, it's like 4 hours. And he's like, all right, we'll probably watch like half, and then we'll come back and watch the other half tomorrow. We sat there and watched the whole thing. And my mom and like my wife are sitting there and they're like into it, but me and my dad are just sitting there like talking, and like I don't interact with, I hadn't really, because like my stepdad kind of came into my life like right as I was going into high school, kind of, or like right before that. So like I didn't get a whole lot of like growing up with him, so like interacting with that and with finding something in common and interacting with him about something like that was just like special, And that scene with the Flash, we both looked at each other like, whoa, and I was like, dude, this is why did they do that to that movie, man?
The scene, are you talking about the scene at the end, or when you get introduced
at the end, when he saves everybody, I was like, out of all people, you would not expect it to be the Flash that like saves everyone, but that whole thing,
it's the whole that movie was, I watched it with my buddy, and I have like one buddy who I see basically like superhero movies with, Fast and the Furious, like we love anything that's like a dumb action movie, and like what was it, Mortal Kombat, one of my favorite movies I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life. Oh my god,
that was fun.
Like we love, like some scenes were so, like we love a movie that has really good action but also is so stupid that you have to take breaks to laugh at it. Like there's one part of Mortal Kombat where they jump out of a plane. The girl says to the main character, she goes, "You ever done this before?" They're parachuting out of a military plane. And he goes, "Nope." She goes, "It's easy." And he jumps out. They land in the desert. They walk in the desert for so long, it goes from day to dusk. Then they cut into them, and he is wearing jeans, T-shirt, has no backpack, no water, and perfectly clean. Hair clean, everything clean. We paused the movie. I was almost pissing my pants. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
But we see all those movies together. We watched a Snyder cut, and like at certain breaks, we would stop and like it'd be like end of Act 1. We would pause a little bit, like have some snacks, and then I think after Act 3, we're like, "This is fucking good,
so
man!
Good, man!
So good."
Yeah. I sat there and I was like, I thought it was funny how everybody was like, you know what, like Justice League wasn't bad, like after Batman versus Superman, like this is definitely like a step in the right direction. And then as soon as the Snyder Cut came out, everybody was like, screw you, Josh Whedon or whatever his name is, because I can't believe how they went from that to what we got. Like it's just insane. Like it's the villain that Snyder made is like one of the best villains we've had in a superhero movie. He was like Thanos level good, almost,
So good. Like how you have this understanding of him, that he's like, he has a purpose that he wants to like please Darkseid. He needs to get in his good graces again. You can see like when Darkseid shows up and he like lets his armor down and he's like, "Oh, please accept me." Like there's so much more character to him. He's deadly. The fight with the Amazonians, that whole scene is so cool.
The fights were so much better, and like the thing was, it's like in the theatrical version, he just like showed up and took the cubes or whatever, it was like no big deal. And this, he had to actually fight for them. Like with the Aquaman scene, he didn't just show up and like teleport out like in 2 seconds. Like she freaking like sucked the air out of him. I was like, bro.
Yeah. When she like blood bended him, she's like,
yeah. Like, bro. Yeah.
That was so sick. And even like the Cyborg scenes, like when Cyborg is listening to the tape from his dad, that's like an amazing scene that makes you understand Cyborg so much more, and the relationship between him and his father. Like it like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about how good it was.
Dude.
Like you had this huge emotional connection. Like you understand like who his dad is, and like he had to work too hard. It's an old trope, like work too hard, went there for your son, but then he loves him. He loves him, and he's like, "I'm sorry that you're like this, but you have to understand that you're great." And it's just so good.
And then when he sacrifices himself to try and destroy I was like, bruh.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And that played in. That played in later, that he's like, "Oh no, he made it super so you can heat track." It's like, yeah. It's like so much of a better movie.
It
And then when the storyboards came out about like what was supposed to happen later, how the second movie was supposed to be like Dark Side coming, and then he like kills Lois Lane, and then they have like the nightmare future, and then Flash has to go back in time so Batman can sacrifice himself, and there's like the whole like the Lantern Corps comes in, and there's all these people fighting.
The only thing that still didn't do it for me was Jared Leto as the Joker, though, man. I just can't take him seriously as the Joker, man. But he was still better, like, as a Joker in that than he was in, like Suicide Squad. That was laughable
100%.
bad.
Suicide Squad. Oh, but that movie is such a stinker, man. Such a stinker.
You think the new one's gonna be any good?
I watched the trailer today and it already looks better. And James Gunn is great, man. James Gunn, he's like had like, I mean, all the Guardians are good. Brightburn was good. Like it's like, I don't see. I don't know why he would make it lay an egg.
I almost hope that because he got picked up for that after they fired him from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I hope he was almost like, you know what, screw you, I'm gonna make this awesome movie, to show you that you screwed up, But then at the same time, he got like put back on the project like right away. So I wonder if that also, like, I wonder if we'll get like a good first half and the second half's like all right or something, because that's always a possibility. But
I'm wondering. I don't know. I think DC's turned a corner with like Joker. I wasn't a huge fan of Joker, but it was still, I will admit, it was a much better movie.
Did you hear what the original ending was supposed to be of Joker?
No. What was the original ending?
It was supposed to end where he's at the table, he's like smoking the cigarette, and she's like, or the psychiatrist or whatever is like, what's so funny? And he says, you wouldn't get the joke or whatever it was, It was supposed to cut to Bruce Wayne's parents being shot, and then he takes off the mask and it's him. Like he was
really?
that he was the one that killed Bruce Wayne's parents. And if they had done that, that would have been like a whole that would have been like a oh shit moment, and then it would have just ended. But instead, they did the whole chasing around with the music, and it kind of killed the vibe for me at the end.
It's like I thought it was a well acted movie, but the whole time the movie's happening, the spoilers for Joker, guys, it's been out for a long time. But it's like the girlfriend there, I was like, she's not real. Like I knew because I'm like, that has to be a breaking point for him. The thing about him being Bruce Wayne's son, like related to Bruce Wayne.
Oh yeah, like his brother,
his brother. I was like, no way. I'm like, that's a Luke, I'm your father trope. There's no way that DC's going to let that fly. And I also knew that he was going to shoot the dude at the end because that was pulled right out of the Dark Knight Returns. I was like watching the movie being like, and I also like it's about like a guy who's like never gets a chance and is just like kicked down constantly. And to me, it felt like wealthy, like LA movie people being like, could you imagine if someone lived like this? I'm like, yeah, actually I live below the poverty line. So like,
but I mean, there was little parts of that movie though that I thought that, like, there was little hidden like gem moments, like because the whole fake girlfriend thing that obviously was kind of you're like, all right, I don't think that's real. But then like the rest of the movie, you have to wonder like, because like there's all these theories now, like when he climbs into the refrigerator in that one scene, that it cuts to like where he goes and confronts Thomas Wayne. Is that Bruce Wayne's dad? I think.
Yeah.
In the bathroom. So like the whole theory is that was a hallucination.
Yeah.
All that stuff. So that's like, what's real in that movie and what's not. But the train, the part where he finally snaps and he shoots those guys on the train is my favorite part of that movie. Cause I was like, the whole like auditorium, everybody in the auditorium gasped. Like, cause it was just so shocking. All of a sudden just boom, just shoots the guy and they're like running for their lives and he's shooting them in the back, Like there was a couple moments that were really good. But then you could tell it was kind of copying Taxi Driver. But I liked how at the end they showed like chaos ensuing and everybody's wearing the masks and like he's in the cop car and they crash into him and all that stuff. Like I liked that. But yeah, there was definitely some tropes in there, But that's why I'm worried about a second one, because I'm like, they're either going to do it really well and try something new, or they're going to completely screw it up.
Yeah, and when I heard there was a second one, it kind of upset me because even though it wasn't my favorite movie, I was like, it still stood as this like huge box office success and an Oscar-worthy movie. And usually when something has like and it was a piece, it was its own contained thing. I just don't know where you take it for a
Yeah.
sequel. I'll for sure watch it, even though
Oh,
I
yeah, I'll
didn't like
definitely
the
watch
first one
it.
because I'm that kind of person.
I do think it's crazy that the same guy who made that, Todd Phillips, is the guy who made the Hangover movies. Like that's pretty crazy.
Really?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy when you think about it. You know?
I did not know that. That is pretty wild to think about. But those movies were a couple of them were really good. I never saw 3 because people said it was really bad.
It's basically the first movie, but like with like different scenarios. They're in Vegas again. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one is really good though.
Yeah, the first one I loved. The first one was like kind of its standalone thing. It like broke out Zach Galifianakis. It was a great movie. It was great. It was just a fun time.
Yeah. But when you get a chance, definitely watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Because it's just cool to see Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt like act together in the same movie. Yeah. And it actually surprised me. Like Brad Pitt like stole the show too. Because Leonardo DiCaprio, I don't know how much you know about the story, but his character is he's playing an actor who basically is told and feels like he's a has-been. Like he just kind of like peaked and now he's having trouble finding good gigs and he's kind of like dealing with that. He's an alcoholic and then Brad Pitt's his stunt double and he's just kind of like easygoing. You know, he's always been the guy who kind of just, you know, takes gigs here and there just to get by. And so now that Leonardo DiCaprio is not getting work anymore, he's like, so I guess we're going to part ways. But then, you know, they play in the whole like Manson murders and stuff into it.
I know, like
it's very slow, a lot of talking, but there's a good payoff.
I definitely need to watch it because I've seen everything Tarantino's made, and I am a fan. Absolutely, I would say Kill Bill 1's one of my favorite movies. It's just like over the top action, great fight scenes. Like it's just well done. But that's the only one I haven't seen, and I think because I know it's a little bit longer, a little slower. Sometimes it's I'm like, am I going to sit down and watch this? Because I find like those movies, I always got to force myself to see them in the theaters, or else I just start fidgeting around on my phone or something, and then I ruin the experience for myself. But I did see the part where he's like talking to the little girl and there's the fight with Bruce Lee and stuff like that. I've seen like that sort of chunk of the movie, which is obviously not enough to really get a feel for what it is. And I kind of know a little bit about what happens at the end.
If you liked that stuff, I think you'll like the rest of it. Cause they're just such good damn actors, man. You know, like that is definitely like the main focus. I will admit that the stuff with like Sharon Tate, like they try to pay so much homage to her because it's, you know, it's tragic what happened to her, that it definitely kind of like distracts a little bit. So like I did find myself like, all right, like when are we gonna get back to Leo and Brad? Because they're just, you know, like every time they're on screen together, it's just entertaining, you know. But the attention to detail in that movie and like how much they put into it, making it look like they were really in the 60s is insane, dude. Like they totally shut down Hollywood Boulevard for like a week or something like that. Changed all the storefronts, everything. That's
amazing.
Yeah, the money and dedication for that movie. And I think
I like what he does, man.
I think there's like a 4-hour version they're supposed to release on Netflix at some point, or it's rumored, because they did that with Hateful Eight.
I'm interested to see if this, like with this new type of home streaming thing, like we got the Snyder Cut just directly brought to your house, if we're going to see the more epics now. Because now it's like you could like, oh, watch it on your own time. It's broken into parts if you want. And you don't have to sit in a theater the entire time. You can get up and pause it and piss when you want and do all those kind of things. I think that might be where people start to venture into with movies, and I would like to see it because after watching Snyder Cut, I don't want people to make them just to make them. But after watching Snyder Cut, I'm like, if this is what 4-hour movies are now, I'm fucking on board.
Yeah, and yeah, it does make sense. Like, you know, when movies get longer. Speaking of that though, Dune is coming out. I think they're releasing that one on HBO as well. That's, you know, Denis Villeneuve, I think is how you say his name. That's the Blade Runner guy. So really curious about that one because that's like its own type of world too, you know. And I feel like if anybody's gonna do anything good, it's gonna be that guy because he really hasn't made anything bad. Have you seen Sicario?
Yes,
he did that. Did you see Prisoners with like Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal?
No, I didn't see Prisoners.
That's an underrated movie. I think that's one of the ones that made Denis Villeneuve kind of blow up. That one is Hugh Jackman and I think Terrence Howard, which I feel like he hasn't been in anything lately. That you know who Terrence Howard is? He was the guy who
Yeah,
played.
he's apparently very hard to work with, is what I heard.
Dude, I've been hearing I've been paying more attention to like what people say about actors now. Apparently, Paul Rudd is a dick.
No.
Yeah, you would never think that, right? He seems like he'd be like the nicest, easygoing person ever.
Yeah, he's a dick. No way.
Apparently,
that would blow my mind.
Like he's one
if
of those.
I met Paul Rudd and he was a dick, I would be like, "What? You're supposed to be like the nicest guy ever."
Or you play the nicest. You know, he's always like the nicest guy in the movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so it's Hugh Jackman, Terrence Howard. Both of their like I don't know 6-7-year-old daughters get kidnapped, and then Jake Gyllenhaal is a detective, and he's trying to figure out, you know, like they have, you know, so much time to find them, and so he's kind of like, and it just twists and turns, and Hugh Jackman just kind of goes to the extreme, like the cops aren't gonna find them, it's my job to find them. You know, they only have. Yeah. He's like a doomsday type of guy, so he thinks like worst case scenario, like, you know, they might not have had water for 3 days now, or, you know, like this could be their last night. You know, so it's crazy. It's a really good movie.
I feel like I've seen a clip from it where he's like out in the rain and he comes home. He's like, I don't see them anywhere, and he like,
yeah.
I feel like. Okay, I think I've seen just that clip. I used to have to, when I worked for this YouTube channel, I used to work for a YouTube channel called Most Amazing Top 10, and we would sometimes put clips at the beginning.
I recognized you, and then I think I went back and I was like, bro, I've seen those videos. Yeah.
Yeah. But we would take clips sometimes to put at the beginning of the YouTube videos, and so I would type in something like maybe the video was like missing persons. I would type in like missing persons movie scene, and then I would just get scenes of that and just watch them out of context and then put them into the clip.
It's funny, yeah. But no, I really liked Hugh Jackman was crazy good in that, and then like that's peak Hugh Jackman like performance wise, and Jake Gyllenhaal plays a pretty badass detective in that. He's got like neck tattoos and like long slicked back hair, and yeah, that's a good movie.
No, I'll have to check that out because I am excited for Dune, because you know the whole Dune history with like the Jodorowsky's Dune.
That's the thing. I don't know anything about Dune, but I kind of want to just be immersed and like not know what things are.
I haven't watched the documentary. That's a good documentary. You should check out, or at least that's what people tell me. So Jodorowsky was this like he made like bizarre movies in the 70s. Like this was back when like theater was not what it is now with like the same level of celebrity and stuff. And he had like, it was visually like very strange. There's a lot of weird stuff. Like there's scenes where there's like frogs getting exploded and they're getting exploded for real. Like there's like weird animal mutilation shit. It's like bizarre. He had made a movie. His biggest one I think he ever did was called The Holy Mountain. But he had this idea to make a Dune, and he's like, Salvador Dali's going to play the villain, and he's like, Orson Welles is going to be in it, and this person, it's going to be 14 hours long, and like, oh, it's this whole crazy idea. And I think he tried to make it, but it never came together. But if you look at some of like the scenes and things, basically the movie fell apart, and then there was these set pieces. People took pieces of the script, pieces of the sets, and used them in like Star Wars and like in all these different things, and it like and Aliens, and like it influenced movies outside of it because of its failure. But if it had happened, it would have probably not been a good movie, but just wild to see like Salvador Dali, Orson Welles, and like all these other figures of that time in a 14-hour long movie. It would have been a spectacle.
What's the documentary called?
I think it's called Joe Dworsky's Dune. His name's Joe Dworsky. And I might be butchering it because, like I said, I haven't seen the documentary. This is from people telling me about it.
I'll figure it
out. But it's it's supposed to be pretty interesting. And with the new Dune coming, it's a good thing to check out.
Yeah, no, that sounds pretty badass. I'm definitely like that blows my mind that like, you know, like they took set pieces and stuff, and then now that's like iconic movies use it. Like that blows my mind. But it makes sense. Like the studios wouldn't want to like let that money go to waste. You know,
like, we got this stuff. Like, whip up something over here.
Yeah. Oh, what's your favorite movie?
Oh man, my favorite movie. If I'm talking like a movie that I really, really enjoy, that's actually a good movie, The Big Lebowski is one that I love. It's
classic.
Like just a classic. I love absurdist comedy. And there's so many scenes in that movie that are so absurd. Like when they go to his landlord's his like play, and he's dancing around. He has like the skin tight like onesie on with
Yeah.
like the leaves on it. He's doing the dance. Zero context as to what the fuck's going on there, and they're just watching it and they just leave. And it's just like there's running jokes throughout the movie. The whole thing's bizarre. The part where he's at that porn guy's house, the porn producer, he goes to see him. What's his name? Oh, I can't remember what his name, but he goes to ask this guy questions. And then he's sitting in the room with him, Jackie Treehorn. He goes to Jackie Treehorn's house. And then he sees Jackie Treehorn take a call and he writes something down on a piece of paper. And he's like, I'll be right back. He leaves. And then Lebowski gets up to go see what he wrote. Like he basically rubs the pencil on the piece of paper so he can get an outline of what he wrote on the other piece of paper. And it's just a drawing of a guy with a huge dick. And he's like, what?
I remember that now. Okay, I was like, I don't remember this, but now I remember it. Yeah, because of that.
Yeah, it's like just weird. It's like, why did he draw it? It's just weird shit. It's just going on in that movie all the time.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
I like the funny moments where like, like he always has his what's the drink he always has?
He's always got White Russian.
White
Russian
and
on
like there's like one scene where like because I haven't seen it in a long time, so it's all out of context for me. But somehow his drink gets smacked out of his hand or something. He's like, "Come on, man!" He's like, like he's
dude, got a beverage here.
Yeah. And then John Goodman, every time he like gets pissed off, he pulls out a gun. It's like,
just shooting a gun constantly. Pulls a gun on the guy in the bowling alley. Market zero. Yo, what is going on? And like it's just I really, really enjoy that movie. It's so absurd, it's so dumb, it's so bizarre. It kind of is just a snippet in a man's life, and there's not really like it's obviously a lot of chaos and there is a story, but it just begins and ends randomly, and you're just like, yeah, that's it. You never really get to the bottom of what happened. You have a theory that Walter comes up with that the whole ransom was fake, and it's like, it's just weird. And it's the Coen brothers, and the Coen brothers do like dark comedy very, very well. And it like bombed in the box office. But I think I think that's like my favorite good movie. If I'm talking about just because I like trash too, I really like a dumb movie. When I saw Venom in theaters, that was one of my favorite movie watching experiences of all time. Like me and my buddy were in the theater, the same guy who I watch all my movies with, and we were laughing so hysterically hard. There's like a part where Venom starts giving him relationship advice, and we're like, he's fucking coaching him how to get the puss, and like, we're dying laughing.
Were you guys high though? Because
I
feel like that's like the only way you're gonna enjoy that is if you're high, man. Because I went and saw that with my buddies who are like really into comics, and they're just like, this movie blows. I was like,
it's so bad, so bad. But good bad is hard to find, man. There's like, I keep a list of good bad movies, and like Alita Battle Angels on that list. I love Alita Battle Angel because there's
I've
legit action, great action scenes in that movie. But there's like one part where a guy gets like maimed and you think he's gonna die, and so they give him a robot body, and he's like, I'm back alive, and then he gets killed like 2 minutes later in the movie. Like, what? You're bringing him back alive?
What's the point, dude? Like, yeah, like
so
the plot
stupid.
is just all over the place in that movie, and then it's obviously got like the generic tropes and stuff in that one too. But
so many. So
cool.
like I dig for those. I dig for good bad because it's like it's a very special type of movie that is hard to find, and when you do, Mortal Kombat, perfect example. It's like if you don't know what Mortal Kombat is and you watch the Mortal Kombat movie, you would be like, what the fuck? Why is there a lizard? There's a lizard? And like, why did he rip his heart out? Like, yeah, he did. They have powers. This is it. Keep up.
Yeah, like it doesn't hold your hand. You're just thrown into it. Yeah.
No.
I like movies where like I care a lot about like how movies are made and the process, and like built. Like I watch those nerdy movies where it's like the top 10 like most intense movie scenes, and like why they're intense and like how it works, because like my dream has always been to like make movies someday, and it's like if that happens, that's cool, but like I care about how it all works, because if I do get to someday, that's the type of stuff I want to make, like you seen Boogie Nights?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That scene where they go over to the guy's house and he's like doing coke and the kid's throwing firecrackers and they're sitting there and they're just like jumping the whole time because like the dude's like, you know, twirling around a gun and stuff. Like scenes like that. Jackie Brown, you seen that?
Not all of it. I another movie where I watched like 50% of it and then turned it off.
But you saw the beginning where like Samuel Jackson like throws is it Chris Tucker? He like throws him in the back of a trunk, says like he needs his help like getting the surprise jump on a guy, and like he's like, come on man, I don't want to get in the trunk. And he's like, we'll go to that really good restaurant, you know, with the collard greens and all that stuff like that. He's like, all right, I'll do it. And he throws him in the car and he literally drives around the block and just opens the trunk and shoots him. I was like, bro, I was like, dude. I like stuff like that, but like you don't know what's gonna happen, you know.
No, I can definitely appreciate like a good movie, like a Parasite.
Haven't seen it, but I need to.
Won't spoil anything because that's when you gotta go in like raw. Another movie where like I don't watch movies sober a lot. I usually get at least a little high. And we were gonna go see, it was three of my buddies were gonna go see Knives Out, and we had all taken an edible and we're walking into the movie theater, and then I look up and I see Parasite. I'm like, what's Parasite? And we've already paid for a ticket, so we're past the thing, and we're like oh, it's some like Korean movie or something. And my buddy goes, it's got 99 on Rotten Tomatoes. And we're like, you want to go to this instead? And we just go into Parasite, zero context what the movie is. And it's like, sometimes you eat the edible and it hits you like so good. Like it hits you right, like perfect home run drive. It gets caught by a little kid in the stands. It's a perfect hit. And I was perfectly high watching this movie. I had no idea about, just being like, whoa. It was, I think, the best movie experience I've ever had in my life. It was so good.
My only question though is, do you feel like when you watch a movie high like that and then you go watch it like sober, it's just not the same though? Like you just have trouble watching it that way?
I think I honestly haven't watched a movie sober in a while, so it's hard to say. But it's like part of the experience. Like when I get high and I'm watching a movie, I can let go of my inhibitions. I'm able to suspend my disbelief. Like I can just drift into the movie so much more. And I think that makes me enjoy it more. I'm just like, whatever ride they want to take me on, I'm going to have a good one. It's hard for me to come out and be like, I didn't have any fun. Like Endgame. When I went to go see Endgame, we got exceptionally high for Endgame because it was Endgame. It was like,
that must have got emotional.
It was huge. Endgame's like,
it's Endgame.
We saw it on opening night, people clapping and cheering in the theaters and stuff. But we got so high that I was sitting in the theater watching the previews, and then the beginning starts, and Hawkeye's family's turned to dust, and I was like, "Oh shit, we're watching Endgame!"
You had to like realize it started.
Yeah. And like for that, I like it because I forget all the trailers. I'm like just in the movie then.
Do you like Christopher Nolan movies?
Yeah, I do like Christopher Nolan movies.
What's your favorite Christopher Nolan movie? It's like, I mean, they're all good, basically, to an extent.
There's a lot of very good ones. I haven't seen all of them. Like, I haven't seen Memento. But I think either Dark Knight or Inception, I think, would be one of my favorites.
Have you seen The Prestige?
I haven't seen The Prestige. I haven't seen that war one either.
Bro, the Prestige is very underrated. I won't spoil anything for that either. But it's, I mean, the basic premise is Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. They're both magicians working together, like they do acts together. Scarlett Johansson is Hugh Jackman's wife, I believe, or girlfriend, whatever. They're getting married. And they have this act where they put Scarlett Johansson tied with a knot, you know, into a tank of water. They put like a cover over it. She escapes, right? Like they lift the thing and she's out of the tank. Well, Christian Bale's character is like, I want to try this new knot. And of course, you know, it's a Christopher Nolan movie. So Michael Caine's in it and he's always the wise one. And he's like, nope, don't do it. It's not a wet knot. It's, you know, it's going to, if she takes too long, it's going to swell up and she won't be able to get it off. And he at the last second does it anyways. And so they take the tarp up and she's freaking drowning. And so, yeah. And then so Hugh Jackman, or like Michael Caine comes out with an axe and like breaks the glass. She's dead. Too late. And so Hugh Jackman, and this is just like the first like 10 minutes, so I'm not spoiling a ton.
Yeah.
But Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale hate each other now because it's like, you know, yeah. And so the whole movie is them doing their own acts and trying to figure out each other's tricks.
And trying to best each other.
But it gets crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like I won't spoil anything else, but that is a fantastic movie. And it's like all like it's Christopher Nolan, so like you never know like when something's taking place. It's all like out of order. But then when you realize you're like, oh, that's before this and that, and like the whole movie is just like, as soon as it's over, you want to go watch it again because it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Very underrated.
Dude, I will have to check that out. Because I like his stuff. I like his. Tenet didn't blow me away. And there was like the sound issues and stuff that everyone talked about. There was like certain scenes where you couldn't hear what people were saying. But I like that he just messes around with weird concepts. Yeah. And like there were some pieces of Tenet that I thought were incredible. How it's like you can't breathe when you're going back in time because the air is going in reverse. Like that's just cool. That's cool.
Or like fire turns. It has the opposite reaction, you know? It's like when something explodes, like you freeze. Yeah, like stuff like that. I was like, bro, this is hurting my brain. Like, because apparently, Christopher Nolan goes through it, like even Interstellar, like he basically got everything science-wise correct up until the end because nobody knows what happens, you know, with black holes and stuff. So, like, the ending, you know, is definitely like he kind of had to make something up. And I feel like that's the weakest part of the movie. But up until then, like all the time stuff, like the whole, you know, that's not a mountain, that's a wave. Like you're like, oh shit. And like, like all that stuff, dude.
So good, so good. Yeah, no, Interstellar is so much fun. The Dark Knight is just like, I love superhero stuff. I'm not like so entrenched where I'm like reading tons of comics and stuff, but I really like how well he did Batman. Like it's just so well done, and that it's the Joker as well, and it just the pieces come together. It's just so fun to watch. And Inception is just like I feel like that movie, they try to make the concept seem deeper than it is, because it's like it's a dream in a dream. It's like, it's just a multi-level dream, but it's so fun, man. Like the hallway fight scene and all that kind of stuff. Like the pieces of that movie are just great.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've seen YouTube videos where they break it down and they show like each level and how like it's all happening in like this crazy short time frame, like an afternoon. But like for them, it's they're freaking in there for days and weeks and months and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But I was gonna say something and I lost my train of thought. Oh, it sucks that, you know, unfortunately, Heath Ledger, what happened to him happened, and so like The Dark Knight Rises didn't really turn out to be what it was supposed to be. Like he was supposed to be a part of it. You know, like I think he was supposed to be like orchestrating everything or something. So it felt like something was missing from that one. But
the Heath Ledger thing is very upsetting, and like there's a lot of I've never really looked into it too deeply, but it's like that he had some drug abuse problems, and that was affecting him outside after the movie, and he was taking drugs to kind of get into the role and everything. It's I know, it's just, it sucks, man. It's a hard I feel like it's a hard industry to be in if you do have any sort of substance abuse problems, because being around substances is just constantly happening. You're going to after parties, you're going to go do this, people are partying all the time. It's kind of brought in from the service industry too. Like if you've ever worked in the service industry, everyone just does drugs. That's like what everyone does in there. So it's you have to not, like, have good self-control with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But I followed them because every video I've seen, obviously it's popped up on my For You page, so it's like a video that's done well. But every one that I've seen, I was like, bro, that's crazy. It's literally like, did you know that like today I saw one where it was like in The Dark Knight, there's a scene like early on in the movie where like they go to dinner and it's like, it's Bruce Wayne. He's obviously not Batman. Like he's showing up as Bruce Wayne, all that stuff. Freaking the Joker, without his makeup, is sitting at the table right behind him listening to the whole conversation.
Really?
And nobody like has realized that until like recently.
That's wild. God, like that kind of attention to detail in a movie is really like what makes it great. That people don't even find all the clues that you hid in it till later.
And I like how Christopher Nolan doesn't want to give it away. You know, like people have these theories and he'll like drop little gems that kind of give you answers here and there, you know?
Yeah.
Because like Inception, everybody was like talking about his wedding ring and like whether he's in a dream at the end or not. And he was like, the whole point is you're supposed to guess whether he is or not. You know, it could be either way. You kind of make your own ending, you know, because obviously it cuts like right before the top could start to tumble, you know, but it's cut perfectly. Yeah, it's like, there's like one little wobble, but you're like, did it really wobble, or was it just, you know, like
was it just moving?
Yeah, that's just how it moves, you know. Yeah.
What ending do you put on Inception? Is it a dream or not a dream?
I like to think it's not a dream. I like to think that he got the happy ending, you know, and he got his kid back and everything. And I love Michael Caine in that movie. How like he's like in the back, just helps him set everything up so that when he gets his freedom, his kid's there for him and everything, you know. Michael Caine is a great actor.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's Michael Caine, man. He's Michael Caine. He's been doing legendary status stuff for so long.
And he knows how to tug at your heartstrings, you know. I failed you, Mr. Wayne. Like, you're like, oh, bro.
Even though Dark Knight Rises wasn't a perfect movie, there are some, like that ending scene where he sees him at the
it was like Inception. Like, it was like Inception.
Yeah. That is so nice. He's there with Catwoman. He just sees him and he has the newspaper and they just give each other nods.
He just like
it's
and then
so
it pops up,
good.
Dark Knight Rises with the music. You're like, oh. Like,
yeah.
Like,
you got me. You got me, man.
Yeah, and then I mean, like, that scene's always probably going to be iconic where Bane breaks his back. Even though, you know, everybody argues, like, there's no way his back could have healed in time. And even if he did, his back would have been messed up because he didn't have, like, proper treatment. And I mean, like, he climbs up that well and eats shit, and he totally would have broke his back again or something, you know, like there's
he would have hurt his back so bad from falling with the rope and stuff. Just that tug.
Do you like American Psycho?
Never seen American Psycho.
Bro, you got to see that one.
I feel like I need to watch it now just for the memes. It's memed so hard. I'm like, I gotta see the movie.
Everybody always has like, it's like me in 2009, like it's like going into a video game, but like you have all the unlocks now, so you're a god, and it's just him like waltzing through with his headset on with the music.
Yeah. Like, exactly. That's a big one right now. Yeah.
But no, that movie is that's another trippy one, and I think Christian Bale. I don't know. I feel like that guy's gonna. I don't know how everything he does to his body for these roles. Like he's got to have some kind of like permanent damage from like losing so much weight and gaining so much weight and
like The Machinist when he's like just.
They literally told him, "You gotta stop. You're going to not wake up in like a week if you don't stop."
Yeah, and he was like, "No, man, I'm gonna push it all the way."
Yeah,
he's like, dedicated to the craft, man.
Yeah. And it's crazy because he went from being the Machinist to like Batman in like 6 months or something like that, 5 months. And he just went from like looking like somebody in a concentration camp to like just a Hulk, you know? He's a big old bear type of dude, you know? He's Batman.
I think they're juicing him up a little bit. You got 100%. Bit of Trianabol in you.
There's no way you go from, because like you look at Matthew McConaughey and like he lost a ton of weight for Dallas Buyers Club. And then he still hasn't fully recovered from that. Like he's just slowly put weight on, and like it was good weight at the beginning. Like True Detective, he's kind of like muscular, but then like you can see like he slowly started to put like weight back on, and like his face still looks like when he was skinny. Like his face never went back to normal. Like his cheekbones and everything, eye sockets. Yeah. It's crazy.
100%, man. It's they feed him juice. Like I think it's your career, right? Like
I would do it. If I was getting paid $1 million, I'd do it right in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they're like, do you want to be Batman? You have to take steroids. I'm like, yeah, I'll take steroids to be Batman for sure.
No, one steroid, please. Let's go, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
That brought me to something. True Detective. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen True Detective. I'm slacking.
Definitely watch the first season. The other two, but the first season of True Detective is probably one of the best seasons of television ever made. Like Breaking Bad,
people
good.
Say it's like so unbelievably good. I need to watch True Detective. I haven't finished Breaking Bad either. I got to Breaking Bad like season 5.
That's the last season.
I think I think it is the last season. And this was like years ago though, and I stopped because I was like binging it so hard. I was watching like 3 episodes a day that I was like, I kind of need a break, and I never went back. And so I think I'll start at the beginning of season 5 because I remember like how.
So I live where they filmed all that. Like we've been like exploring the area and like going to the restaurants they go to, and like I walked like Walter White's house. I'm not gonna say how close it is, but like I went on a long leisurely stroll, like walked right over to his house. Like it's like that close. Like we went and got like my wife's car washed at the car wash and that he works at, stuff like that. Like the whole town has kind of embraced it, you know. So and then they're still filming like the last season of Better Call Saul, the spinoff about the lawyer here. So that's cool. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's like everything kind of looks familiar, and so you kind of have to like take a double take and be like, was that in the show at some point? And sure enough, yeah. It's weird.
That's so cool. No, I've been trying to consume, like, because sometimes I find myself that I'll be sitting like I'm relaxing and I just am scrolling through Instagram, and while that serves a purpose, and I mean we make media so you have to consume a certain amount of it, I'm like I should at least be, if I'm gonna sit and do nothing, put on something worthwhile. Put on like a good show, put on a play a good video game, something that is like I can like tell people, oh, I experienced this, and I can have the experience of enjoying it. I've been watching a little bit of anime too. You watch any anime?
Jordy 2D made some recommendations for me, so I'll probably watch some, but I never really watched any of it. I've seen Spirited Away and like a couple episodes of Attack on Titan. That's it.
There's I like because I like my trash, man. I like trash, dumb stuff.
I can't.
Give me a Fast and Furious type.
I'm the opposite. I'm like, there's so many things out there that there's not enough time to like waste it watching. Like my wife will watch like I don't know, some Vampire Diaries or some bullshit show like that. And I'm like, I go and I'm like, you still watching this show? She's like, yeah, it's not that bad. I'm like, I finally was like, you know what? Somebody told me that True Blood was good. Let's watch a real vampire show. And so it's like an HBO version of that. And like it definitely went off the rails after like 4 seasons and we gave up on it. But like it was good for a little bit. Like it was enough that like we both liked it, you know. But dude, I thought Game of Thrones had a lot of sex and nudity. Holy crap, dude. That every episode,
Blood, man. Yeah.
Like,
no, I watched I think I watched 3 seasons of True Blood. I watched up until the point where there's a southern guy and he's like, there's a big smoke monster trying to kill me. And he's like the guy who's in the army. He's like, when he's talking about the smoke, when he says, there's a big smoke monster trying to kill me and I don't know what to do. I was like, like, I turned it off. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Once that happened, and then they started introducing fairies, and they're like, oh, you're just half a fairy, and all this stuff. Oh, bro. Like, what's next? Is the freaking Loch Ness monster going to show up? Like, it's just getting way too in the weeds.
The first season was so good because it was just like, oh, there's just a killer. It's just a guy killing people.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like, it's very grounded. And each season they're like, well, we got to throw in more magic. And it's like, oh, fuck the magic, man. Like, just make a good show.
The concept of how the blood worked and everything was cool, though. How, like, for normal people, vampire blood was like a drug, you know, and then, like,
yes,
it was very interesting. Like, I liked, I think who I cared about the most was the brother in that one. I can't remember his name. He ends up becoming a cop towards the part where like you checked out, I think.
Oh yeah. Her brother. He's actually like Australian or something, right?
Yeah, he's like always getting into like bad situations. And,
yeah.
But he's always like banging the chicks and stuff. Yeah, it was it was funny to always see the situations. Yeah.
He's a great shithead. Loved him.
Yeah.
And I always like a good shithead in a TV show. It's definitely the people who I like relate to the most. But yeah, I need to watch like probably some better quality content because like I just watched The Circle. Have you seen The Circle, that reality show?
I have not. No.
I love trash reality, man. It's like the best one ever is the show called Are You the One? And it's literally like they took the concept of the real world of a bunch of people living in a house, but they're like, how do we force them to fuck? How do we make them fuck? And that makes better television. So what the whole show is there's 10 guys, 10 girls, and everyone in the house has a perfect match, but you don't know who your perfect match is.
Oh, man.
Just me saying out loud is great. So you have to like date in the house, and then if you win a challenge, you get to go on a date. And if you go on a date, you can go in the truth booth, and the truth booth will tell you if you're a perfect match. But if you're not a perfect match, that means you have to stop. Like, you don't have to, but you want to stop seeing each other to go find your perfect match in the house. Because if everyone finds their perfect match, they win $1 million. So it like forces people to put love against money, and it just creates chaos. And I am like, this is good TV, man.
Yeah, I wonder if my wife's watched that one. She watches stuff like that sometimes. Do you know what slept on is Apple TV? There's a couple shows on there.
There was that one about the football manager that everyone was talking about.
I didn't watch that one, but we just finished. We're waiting for the third season of it, but it's For All Mankind. And
I haven't seen that.
So the concept here, I'll just give you like the opening scene because that's a good way to start it. So it's first man to walk on the moon, right? Everybody's at the bars, everybody's watching the TVs, the famous newscasts. You know, one small step for man. But what happens is the astronaut comes down from the lander, like the ladder, and he turns and faces the camera and he starts speaking Russian. The Russians made it first.
Yeah.
So the space race keeps going. And like it just gets crazier and crazier, like guns on the moon, and I don't want to spoil too much, but that
sounds good.
I thought about making a YouTube video about it and calling it like, is this the most underrated show on TV right now? You know? Yeah. Because I don't know how. Like they will introduce a character and I was like, I don't know if I like this character. Nope. They make you care about every single person in that damn show. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they like, there's been space shows that have come out and they usually screw up the balance between space and then like what's going on Earth, like people dealing with like family members going to space and stuff. I feel like this did a perfect balance.
And it's called For All Mankind?
For All Mankind, yeah.
All right, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I need like a good new show. I've been kind of throwing like Curb Your Enthusiasm on as like just a show I watch whenever I'm like eating or something. It's a good, like, you can jump in any season, anytime, and it's like Larry David making people uncomfortable, and it's like, I'm like, I can watch that forever, man. But I do need like a good ass show. That reminds me of do you know the comic what's it called? What's it called, man? Red Sun. Red Sun's a comic book about what if Superman landed in Russia. And then it's like the whole story of that. And it's like, it's a very good comic. And it's a one-off kind of like own world thing. So you can just like pick it up and burn through it. It's great.
I like stuff like that. But yeah, I'm sure at some point that's going to get made into a movie. Somebody's going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they keep talking about doing the, I forgot what it's called. But it's the whole concept where like, somehow like Bruce Wayne dies, and then like Martha Wayne and Thomas Wayne, like one of them becomes like the Joker. I think the mom becomes the Joker, or I might have it messed up, but it's like a what if type of thing. Flashpoint, yeah, and they're supposed to do something with that, I think, with the Flash movies.
Yeah, because Flashpoint is like canon with like basically the DC at one point they were like, hey, listen, like we have these like some heroes that have 50 years of lore and new people don't want to get into reading our shit, so we're going to restart the whole universe. So they did a thing where basically Flashpoint is the Flash goes back in time to stop his mom from getting killed, and then he comes back and the future is fucked up.
That sounds badass.
Man. Yeah. It's like it's dark. They play with a lot of different themes. A lot of wild shit happens in it, and then there's a lot of splintering universes that happen from the Flashpoint, and there's a lot of cool shit. Like there's a Justice League Dark Apocalypse movie where Apocalypse wins and he like fucks everyone up. He like Superman gets tattooed with this kryptonite laser so he can like never use his powers, and then a bunch of the Justice League members get like taken by Dark Knight, and they have like robot parts put in them, and they're like his like Valkyrie slaves, and Batman is like his right hand man now. He sits in the Mobius chair and he like works with Darkseid.
See what I'm saying, man? There's too much like interesting good stuff out there, not enough time to consume it. That's why I can't waste my time on these bullshit shows or movies.
No, I completely understand. I do like good trash, but I look for specific stuff. It has to have lots of drama, has to have like some sort of element where people are stabbing each other in the back. That's key. Like I really didn't like the show Love is Blind. That was the one that was big over the pandemic where people don't see each other and then they meet and then they go to get married. Love is Blind. There wasn't, and no one like cheated on a person or like there was no drama. They were like, oh, we actually want you to fall in love. I was like, get out of here.
It wasn't
here for love.
It wasn't scandalous enough for you, is what it was.
Scandalous, man. I want drunk people in a house like hooking up with people they're not supposed to hook up. There's an episode of Are You the One where this guy finds his perfect match. They get matched up. then he's the next day after you find your perfect match, you get sent away to like a getaway island, and that's where you spend the rest of the TV show. And so they get matched the night before he leaves to go on the getaway island. He fucks another girl, and
Yo.
he fucks this other girl, and then the girl obviously finds out, and then they have to go to an island together, and they hate each other now. It's so good.
Bro, you watch way too much of this stuff.
I'm like, that's good TV, man. You can't write that. You can't write that.
People keep talking about, I think there's like Love Island or something. Isn't that another one?
Love Island's primetime trash. Love Island is like, if you want to see people like primal hierarchy, like if you want to see like literally like the closest thing to people acting like animals, you watch the English Love Island. It's like season 4 or something is the best one, because they just intro people and you stay on the show if you can like match up and pair up properly. And if you can't, you're out. So it's like tribalism of who are going to be the couples that stick together, who's going to get love. And then they do things like, say if one couple worked and someone got voted off, they'll bring like the girl back. So now a guy has to choose between 2 women. And then at the end, there's like a money option where and they'll be like, oh, do you want to like take all the money, but you don't get to be with her and she gets no money? And it's like, they just twist with people's emotions, and it's disgusting, but great.
Do you get into horror movies at all?
A bit. Like I said, I saw Brightburn. I watched what was that big one a few years ago? Hereditary. But I'm not like super deep into them.
Did you watch Midsummer?
No, I didn't watch Midsummer.
Bro, if you think Hereditary's messed up, just watch that. Bro, like this is just a whole nother level of like screwed up, because it's the same director as Hereditary. But it's like, it starts off and this chick gets like a phone call and finds out that like her sister, who's been struggling with like mental illness, killed herself and her parents. And so she's just in a really bad state mentally. She's like, my whole family's dead. And so her boyfriend is like, obviously her boyfriend is like kind of on the fence about whether they like, he still wants to be in a relationship with her, but you're not going to leave a chick when this happens to her, And so he's like, I'm going on this trip to like Sweden, right? And like our Swedish friend is going to be our guide. And she's like, oh, let me come. Like she wants to go now. She wants to like escape, And they go, and this trip turns out to be a cult. And it just goes downhill from there, bro. And like it just gets more and more messed up. And I think it's better than Hereditary. Hereditary had its moments. But this feels like the director had a more, like, he had a better vision for like what he wanted to do, and it's just, yeah. But it still has like the same type of like metaphorical ending where it's just like completely messed up, and you're just like, bro, I can't believe this happened, like.
Yeah. I do want to check out Midsummer, because that is more my vibe of like what I'm afraid of. Midsummer didn't really get me because Supernatural doesn't freak me out.
Hereditary, yeah.
And then
you said Midsummer, but the only.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
No, you're fine. The Hereditary. There was the one scene where she like goes to the one lady who's like a medium or something like that. She tries to like the whole ghost scene that creeped me out. But the rest of the movie was like, like it's just kind of like gore and like I don't know.
It didn't
and
there were some parts like when the kid looks in the corner and there's a guy standing there with his dick out. I was like, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. A guy
I forgot about that.
His dick's, he's like smiling. His dick is out. I was like, that's so funny. He's like, come on, man. But that like when we were talking about Resident Evil 7 scared the shit out of me, because that's like my biggest fear. Like going to like a bog and there's like a creepy dude in overalls who keeps you in a basement. That's the scariest thing in the world to me.
Welcome to the family, bud.
Yeah, like no, that scares the shit out of me, man.
I mean, there was you played Resident Evil 8, right? Did you play through that one?
No, I haven't played through it.
Oh,
I've watched a little bit of play of it. I've seen the whole second house. I was with a buddy and he was playing it, but I haven't played it.
Second house.
The second house is the one with the weird baby in the basement and the dolls.
I was gonna say, if you didn't know about that, I was gonna say anything, but that is like I've seen some scary, like I've seen scary stuff, like, and it's just not really like I'm kind of immune to it at this point, like I'm numb to it. But that whole scene, like or that whole part of the game scared the crap out of me, bro. Because like it's loud and the baby's crying in your ears and it's all gross looking and popping out of the dark and it's just complete body horror, like, and like it's chasing me and like I'm hiding under beds and then like I have to get the elevator and I screwed up and like forgot something, so then the baby like corners me and eats me and I'm just like freaking out, dude. I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like, this is messed up. I gotta do that again, like, you know. But yeah, but the sad thing is like I feel like it peaked at that point and the rest of the game's not scary because of that. Like, that's as scary as it gets. But that is a good game. I really enjoyed that game. But that Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play through it. I like how that section of the game they bring in. It's like almost like as you go through the different houses, at least from the little bit I saw, they bring in different horror elements. Like in that section of the game, they take away your guns, so you're almost playing it like Amnesia, where you just have to run and hide and solve puzzles and stuff. Yeah. I was like, that's cool how you're doing different pieces of different horror games.
And like I liked, because some people complain like the puzzles were too easy in that game. Like, I feel like they were just hard enough to where, like, you would screw up once or twice, you know, or, like, you would be kind of stuck, like, all right, like, obviously, like, in that one, there was, like, a giant doll on the table, and you have to, like, do different things to the body parts to, like, figure out clues and open doors and all that stuff. Like, I like that. Like, I feel like Resident Evil 7, just, there wasn't as much going on in that one, but it was a good game.
No, yeah, I think in terms of like horror elements like that, absolutely not. And like puzzle solving, not at all.
Yeah.
It's just for me personally, it's just the aesthetic. The just creepy, gross bog bayou, Texas Chainsaw Massacre family. Yeah. That's I'm like most horrific thing I could possibly imagine.
And I hate when you can't kill the monster. Like you just shoot him and nothing happens. And like this one, it was like, you know, they're going to die at some point. You just got to keep like doing it, you know? But like that one really pissed me off for like, and like the whole thing, like your limbs get chopped off, you just kind of like stick them back on. I'm like, bro, this is ridiculous.
They just like you pour the stuff on it. And you're like, yeah, it's good
magic
to go.
Water. Yeah. But like movie wise, I really like The Thing. You've ever seen that with Kurt Russell?
Love The Thing. Thing's a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I want a poster. I want the poster to put up.
It is just like, it's just so like, it's a great horror movie. It's a good mystery. It's like the whole concept of like someone's infected, almost like an Among Us type thing. Obviously the thing came way before Among Us, but that's like, you don't know who to trust and everyone's like, fuck you. Like that is a great thing.
And I don't think any movie's done it, like any other movie's done that concept as well as that movie, you know?
No, I think like what's his name? Tarantino said that, what's the one where they're all in the house? It's the Western. Crazy Eights?
No. Hateful Eight. Yeah.
Hateful Eight. He said that was his version of
that makes sense now. A lot of people didn't like that one. They thought it was too slow, but I liked it.
I liked it a lot. Like it's like there's certain scenes. He does a great job of him creating like a very racist character and then crushing them. And every time he does that, I'm like, I love it.
Yeah, there's definitely scenes in that movie that I loved, and like I like the mystery stuff for sure. I'm trying to think of like any other good like mystery type movies that I liked, because like I saw Knives Out, and I don't like the guy who made that. He made Last Jedi, and so like I just have like a personal vendetta against him. I'm like, it has to be over the top good, or else it's garbage.
Yeah, how dare you make The Last Jedi? No, I was like thinking about Star Wars the other day, and I'm like, it's wild that this is such a huge franchise, and like if you look at the core movies, most of them are bad. It's like most of them are.
One of my content creator buddies that I've had on, he like defends all those movies, and like I'll be like, dude, don't get me wrong, like they got like a special place in my heart, but like Attack of the Clones and like Phantom Menace, like that, it's the acting is really bad, and like I mean, Revenge of the Sith, you know. That was the whole point, was they were supposed to get to that point, and so that's why it's the best one. But like the dialogue, and like I mean, I remember seeing the video like behind the scenes where George Lucas is watching like the first rough cut of Phantom Menace, and he's like, "Oh dear, I may have overdone it a little bit with the Jar Jar Binks character." I'm like,
That's so funny. He's like, yeah, there's too much in here. And I like how people have made like they're like, was Jar Jar a Sith Lord? Was he a Sith Lord the whole time? Like that's it. That they're trying to make all these excuses for why the movie is the way it is. And I know some people, like a friend of mine, likes them for like a sentimental reason, and in the same way where like, yeah, the bad scenes are now fun when you know the movie's bad, but also because some of when you look at the expanded universe, you have characters like Obi-Wan who people really like, and at least you get to see a lot of Obi-Wan in these movies, but they are just like just not even, they're just like boring. It's like, man,
it's
like
too
even
political.
General Grievous,
They made it way too political.
Grievous, so political. No, but like General Grievous whips out 4 lightsabers at one point, and you're like, oh shit, it's about to go down. And he gets his hands cut off like immediately. And you're like, what the fuck was the point of having 4 lightsabers?
And everybody's like, oh, well, you have to go watch this Clone Wars animated series. He really gets, like his moment in that. It's like, I gotta go watch a cartoon. Like, as much as it, like, it, don't get me wrong, it's good, but like, there's something about, like, if it's animated, it has to be really dark or like really adult for me to take it seriously, or else it just feels too childish to me. Like it's hard for him to break that barrier, and it rides that line where I just can't like get into it. Like same thing with the Bad Batch. It's good, but like I'm still watching a cartoon. I just can't get past that. But like anime, like there's all kinds of like dark themes. Like I want to watch Death Note. Talked to Jordy about that, and he's like, yeah, watch that. But like, I just feel like those are more adult. Like there's badass stuff going on there that, and there's the blood and gore. Whereas with these cartoons, it's like somebody gets shot and they're like, or their head cut off and you just see like a helmet fall down. Like there's never going to be like the, oh shit, like gruesome. Yeah. Like Mandalorian kind of did a little bit there where like a door closed on somebody and they like get cut in half or something. Like it did a little better, but
yeah. And Mandalorian, I thought, was a better show. It had like a lot of like some really good fan service moments. There was like some really cool fight scenes. It got me hooked. I was into the Mandalorian. But when it comes to a lot of this extended universe stuff now, I'm not, after the mainline movies being bad, I'm like I haven't watched the Bad Batch at all. I'm like I'm not giving you any of my time unless you're knocking out of the park.
I don't think I'll go and finish it. It's one of those things where it's like I got to pick and choose. I want to watch something I know is really good, or like, kind of like, I feel like you kind of have to wait till certain shows are done with to decide whether they're worth going and spending the time to watch them. There was a show I was going to mention and I forgot what I was thinking about. Oh no, it's a movie. I liked Rogue One. I thought that was a good Star Wars movie because everybody dies, so it's like it's a true like one-off story. It's not like, oh my gosh, and then I thought Solo was good, and I would have liked to seen where they went with the trilogy, but it just did so bad at the box office they scrapped it. But I enjoyed that movie.
I did. I thought Solo was good too. They do a lot of like fun things, like they do the Kessel Run. They do like different things to make the movie exciting and touch on your little nostalgia pieces. They show like the relationship between him and Lando and how they kind of become friends, and like there's a lot that I really liked about that movie. I didn't like how he got his name. He's like Solo.
Oh like, yeah, that was very cheesy. Yeah, I like how he met Chewie. Like that was cool.
Yeah. They threw in some Darth Maul in there, and you're like, okay, Darth Maul's still alive. He's still in the universe.
But we'll never get to see where that goes because they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna make the movies any. Or if they do, it's probably gonna redo it completely. Yeah. So.
But Rogue One was great, and that Darth Vader scene at the end is just that hallway scene. I've watched it so many times on YouTube, just like him just mowing people down. He throws a guy on the roof, just like cutting them down. You're like, this is so cool.
Yeah, there's the one guy. He's like, he's killing us. And he just gets murked, bro.
he's like handing the thing off through the door, banging on the door. Like, yo, you guys are you guys are done, man. And how it just leads like right into the Leia.
Yeah,
like,
it's I like when they do that. Like I didn't like the new thing, like because they started with practical effects and then completely reshot it because they were like, like it's just too expensive, too time consuming. They went CGI. But that movie ended where the original thing from like the 80s starts, right? Did you see that? Yeah, so that was cool. I like when they do stuff like that. But I will say, CGI Leia just totally took me out of the moment.
No, it wasn't very good. Wasn't very good.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so did
no,
Luke in Mandalorian. That took me out of it too.
yeah.
I thought it was gonna be Sebastian Stan because they cast him as Luke for something else.
I don't like they haven't figured out whatever that tech is to get the faces on there good because
Yeah,
they look really weird. Like the Luke scene in Mandalorian, you just had to accept it. You just had to be like, yeah, this is what it was. But also, yeah, I guess because he was young then. Because I was like,
yeah.
shouldn't he be old? But it's like, no, he's old in the new ones, not in these are the we're in the middle ground here.
I think they just need to hide it better. Like there was for Rogue One, there was a scene where like Grand Moff Tarkin is like looking in the glass, and I was like, he's dead, isn't he? And then he turns like, oh yeah, that's fake. But like in the glass, like they just kept him staring in the glass, you would have not noticed.
Yeah,
Like,
and it would have been a nice little tidbit for everyone. Also in Rogue One, I really like when Vader chokes the guy, and what does he say? Something he's like, "Don't choke on your ambitions" or something.
yeah,
Like he has a little quip that he says, and I like to think that he like chokes him, and then he goes back. He's like, "I fucking got him with that one.
yeah,
That was a good one." He has like a
yeah,
joke writer guy. He's like, "Hey, that joke worked. It was a really good one."
yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, it's I don't know what time it is for you, but it's almost 11. I gotta get to the gym and.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to call it.
I
like,
don't want to end it. We're talking and just going up. I told you I could talk
Yeah.
about this stuff for hours, but yeah, no, it's been 2 hours and 45 minutes. So
Dude, this
time
has
to
been
call it.
great. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, what's going on? Like, where can people like find your stuff?
So at Durena on all my social platforms for like TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Little Dinky News for Twitch. Little Dinky News is where I do all my Twitch streaming with my buddy Cameron Phoenix. And we stream everything. We stream every time we play Call of Duty, probably the most because that's the easiest like get up and go kind of game. But once the new we're kind of try and get a train of like playing the newest releases as they come out once we can do that. But yeah, I think that's everything on my end. If you live in the Toronto area, come check out follow me on Instagram because I post where I'm doing all my stand-up shows.
Yeah. And we'll definitely, if you're down, we'll definitely do this sometime again in the future, man. I had a good time. Good chat.
Yeah, I had a great time, dude. Thank you so much. We'll take it easy.
Yeah, man. Take care.